gets through. As you say, Azir is up. No longer is it, as it is banned out on 3 here. Does mean we have things like the Wukong that have been so highly prized as a first pick jungler for teams so far at Worlds.
Yeah, it does feel like Wukong is almost always going to be that answer. And we're just going to have a Snap Aurora coming through here. So will it just be Aurora Zin? That will be my prediction. It is going to be Aurora Zin. So a lot of the OPs that are up and available just kind of being grabbed up here immediately. And Rumble also up. I would think you're going to get probably Rumble plus the mid lane answer. Yeah, wow, that's fast.
And I mean, look, both teams clearly coming in with a game plan. I think for KT, they've loved this kind of Wukong Rumble pairing when they're able to get their hands on it. I think Perfect's ultimates on the Rumble have been fantastic as well in solidifying some of these teamfight wins. So it looks like comfort already for KT. And 2 CFO now just rounded out with an answer in the top lane. Or do they want to try and solidify that AD carry for Tako before that pinch starts to come through?
I would honestly love to see an Ornn. I feel like Ornn is a really good matchup in a Rumble. I feel like it suits Driver's playstyle, and it is going to be the Ornn. So we're going to have matched roles, fairly predictable draft, through the first 3 on both sides. I think both teams really kind of play strengths. Now is where it's going to get a little bit
cek si Udi juga.
I'm curious to see if it is going to be more
kalau dia
towards the
bisa,
player rather
harusnya
than the
kita
meta.
bisa
How
bertiga.
concerned are you about Corki? How concerned are you about things like Draven? Especially because
Sampai
CFO
nonton
is on the
CFO
red side.
besok
Or will
kan.
KT just go something a bit more
Besok kan
standard?
Jitu ya,
You know what,
Jitu
you're not
sama
gonna bring
Tes ya,
it down
gue
unless
skip
there's
kayaknya.
really a great opportunity because Doctem can absolutely play a lot of these utility marksmen very, very well. And I feel like his job should be to neutralize bot lane.
Gak ada top 1, jadi top 1 BLG. Cuman BLG-nya kan iya BLG, terus kedua si AL, Tes tuh 3. Sebenarnya 2 tes sih, cuman si AL tuh lolos dari poin kan, jadi LPL ada poinnya. BLG juara Summer. Beda sekarang, liganya beda. Kalau LCK tuh kayak satu season tapi dibagi split, bukan spring summer kayak grup kan dia sistemnya.
Karma would be interesting. They don't necessarily need hard engage from support.
Halo guys, welcome. Ini harapan terakhir CFO guys. Gue lupa aja, gue tadi nge-mute mikrofon gue sendiri.
Soalnya viewer lu pada mikir gue ngomong sendiri jir.
Iya, aduh.
Aduh. Gue juga gitu suka gitu lagi anjing.
Astaga, gue udah nyapa-nyapa bang.
Gak apa-apa, bagus lah kalau ada yang ngingetin. Daripada ntar setengah jam udah di game gak ada yang ngingetin.
Iya sih. Apalagi biasanya udah main game nih, udah mau kelar live nih. Bang, suara game kegedean katanya. Terus sebelumnya kalian nonton apa gitu?
The Rumble here alongside the Talia, having that hard engage to be able to set up the seismic sub, set up the equalizer, I do feel like is really strong. Yes, you have the Wukong, but I feel like Wukong just
Ezreal
as that secondary engage or engaging at the same time. And when you have the Ezreal, yes, you can play like
Karma kan?
that sort of style for lane dominant, but you can also just leave that Ezreal
Mukanya kayak Guyu nih guys.
elsewhere, and instead it's going to be more of a neutralizing pick here. Braum obviously gets a ton of value against Ornn. So that is probably.
Ini dia supportnya siapa nih? Torki biasanya sama siapa bang?
Bentar, ini pada di band-band nih. Dia main apa? Main dive kah? Main pok. Leona? Well, Renata bisa.
Masa iya Yumi?
CFO now looking towards their support, that counter pick for Kaiwing. It's the Nami. So before this year, if Kaiwing had ever played Nami, I would have said.
Kenapa dia ngepick Yami padahal ada Braum gitu ya?
He has actually really leveled up his game on these.
Siapa?
CFO-nya.
Kan itu Braum udah diambil.
Iya, maksudnya kenapa dia ngambil Nami di saat udah ada Braum yang bakal bisa nge-counter dia sama Ornn juga.
Kalau gua lihat dari draftnya sih lebih buat engage ya.
Oh, buat si Shinzo-nya ya?
Nggak buat Wukong.
They absolutely can, but at the same time, Nami obviously really strong laner here, and this is going to give them a lot of power.
Oh, buat gagalin engage-nya Wukongnya gitu, counter engage-nya.
Iya, sama kayak Braum sih buat defensif, sama buat laning juga soalnya. biar 2 lawan 2-nya imbang.
Talia se-OP itu ya sering banget di pick. Yang bagus cuy, tiap turnamen kayak Talia nggak pernah absen. Di tiap tahun. Cuman sekarang Talia agak terbatas sih, dulu bisa jungle juga kan dia.
Iya.
Sama kayak Rel, cuman udah agak terbatas gitu.
The real breakout star of the tournament. He's been impressive from time to time in the past, especially MSI when he subbed in for RNG. I think a lot of people started to realize.
Prediksi G2 versus test score. G2 3-1 test. Itu maksudnya? 3-1 G2 win. Mimpi basah aja.
Doggo that made a name for himself at these international tournaments, so much so he got picked up by Billy Gaming, ended up moving across then towards Ultimate Prime. It was just
Braum di WR tiba-tiba jadi OP semenjak War. Apa hubungannya Jir?
But hang on a second, there's maybe any trouble here as we move through.
Yeah, a bit of invade coming out from KT. Doggo will be forced away. Better volley from BDD means that Doggo doesn't have to.
Anjay.
Aduh, dipaksa ngambil skill 2, cok.
And in the end, CFO were able to walk away.
And this is that same bot lane that they actually used against AL.
Kalau kayak gini, KT menang laningnya sih di bawah.
Berarti dia ngambil skill 2 ya?
Iya, mau nggak mau tuh. Daripada buang.
Jadi susah dia lasetnya.
Iya.
Kalau di swap pun tetap aja udah telat mungkin.
Iya.
Nggak coba stream TFT Revival set 7.5. Gue lagi banyak banget urusan di belakang ini cuy. Ini gue rencananya nggak live nih cuy. Gue karena banyak orang ngajak, ayo udahlah live aja.
Coy, kapan lagi coy lihat CFO menang?
Iya dipikir-pikir juga CFO juga, harapan terakhir juga ini.
Kapan lagi lihat CFO di semifinal?
Talia tuh role-nya apa? Mid sama support. Support masih bisa nggak sih bang?
Talia support bisa tapi kalau public bisa. Kalau di kompe kayaknya udah susah. Mending ngambil support yang lain. Aduh, kasihan banget ini. Diprisin lah ya.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky. Like I was checking, like, did he use them? Was there something that I missed? But I went back and yeah, he just didn't actually buy any potions. So.
Rel dulu bisa jungle, iya. Di turni yang tahun kemarin apa ya? Apa tahun kemarinnya lagi? Rel mulu di jungle.
Kemarin lagi deh.
Kayak 2 tahun yang lalu kayaknya ya.
Jangan Lilia jungle itu, Lilia lagi meta tuh.
Isinya Rel, Talia, belum fearless lagi.
Oh iya.
Bosan banget liatnya Nico.
Exactly, yeah. And like we're going for the free boots now. We don't even care about roaming because that gives us 300 gold that we can put in towards the redemption buy. And the whole point is, hey, we hit that first time in Adakan and suddenly we can actually turn a big fight there.
Tapi Bang Yota ada ini nggak sih ngeliatin kayak ada dapat info soal feedback komunitas atau dari pros gitu soal fearless ini? Positif nggak sih feedbacknya? Bagus ya.
Awal-awal fearless kan sebenarnya Worlds tahun ini kan tadinya nggak mau pakai fearless kan. Oke. Gitar. Anjing nggak mati cok. Oh mati.
Mati.
Tapi Junjianya mati.
Mati juga dia.
Aduh.
That's the fight that we were hoping to see in this series going through already. Over a Scuttle Crab, everyone arrives, but it's KT.
Jadi kalau feedbacknya positif berarti kan bakal dilanjutin gitu.
Iya kan tadinya kan Worlds tahun ini rencana awalnya tuh pas awal tuh nggak pakai fearless kan. Cuman first 10 sama MSI. Terus kelar MSI tuh baru diumumin. Jadinya Worlds tahun ini fearless. Israel jadi banget
Here got very aggressive. Flashed in, Q flash straight up onto Junja. Went a bit too early, let's be honest. And so he does end up going down, but the fight still looked very good for KT.
Per berapa masih 0-0 dia.
They really were putting so much pressure on in this fight, and Hongq just couldn't really get anything going.
Itulah sama siapa? Ini gua sama Bang Yota.
How awake are KT? It has been 12 days since they last played a game at Worlds. They have only played 4 games at Worlds so far.
Udah nggak pernah live hog lagi. Bukan nggak live hog lagi, emang gue belakangan tuh lagi jarang live cuy. Lagi sibuk banget. Ada video ini yang harus dibikin, gue juga lagi ngurus dokumen negara aja, dokumen gitu-gitu ya. Lu tau lah urusannya ribet banget aja. Mana calo sekarang mahal banget guys.
Basically going to sacrifice his team. Driver saying, you know what? I will take the terrible wave. You go top, collect this wave that is pushing in towards me. They know they need to keep Doggo into a good spot, but it is a really concerning start just because it's not just about those kills, it's about the fallout afterwards.
And that will be the Dragon, right? KT are with Cuz already on this bottom side. He just clears in towards Dragon.
Wah, masih kena loh.
Take that one up, and you've already got an AD carry to keep that push in the bottom side. And KT stacking Dragons, playing for team fights, is going to be fantastic for the style of composition that they have.
And that wave is still frozen against Driver. So
Di lu detik berapa? 50 bukan?
52, 53.
Oh ya, aman.
Covering him there as well to make sure that he gets it in. Driver obviously not involved in the spot river skirmish. So it does still have
Gawat.
TP. But, for the moment, KT in a really strong spot in this early game. About 1,000 gold ahead. First Drake at 6 minutes, stacking those up.
Sibuk lari kor. Lari mah paling sejam doang cuy. Rehat 4 jam.
And that's why I like early dragon stacking, because you know 1 item, 2 item spikes is when you're fighting for that soul.
Yeah, and especially as you start to now reset for Cuz, you'll be able to move in towards top side.
Kerja BUMN emang berat kor.
Talking about like Grubs in a minute and a half.
Banget
He's
ya.
going to be in a fairly good spot. Hits level 6 just before that
Oh,
happens.
BUMN sih.
It's kind of that little bit of an early advantage that is setting you up very, very nicely for this. But Junja wants to try and get on towards perfect in this top side.
Perfect. Used the equalizer earlier on. Doggo just holding him away from the wave. It will be a 3v1.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is the wave is pushing towards perfect, so there's no pressure on him, you know? When you see those range minions stacking, yeah, it's annoying, you're going to lose a little bit, but you're getting the XP, and eventually it will collect and come to you, so you just have to play that safe, and you can see that Peter's actually going to TP top. They're just going to TP perfect down towards bot to collect that wave, so they're moving it around, they're just doing the same thing, basically, that the CFO did earlier. They're going to give Doctam this stacked up wave to keep pushing him ahead to try to match this.
Pasti sibuk suap isi pol buat SKCK kan kor. Buat apa buat SKCK aja?
Defensive vision that's there for KT as well. Like they have this
Mau jadi guru
just
gimana?
over towards their grump, and it's been able to spot out like any time Honky
Daftar
started to shift
ASN.
across, if there's some sort of dive that was there.
Iya, daftar
just
ASN.
already KT very aware
Mending
of
jadi
the
menteri
type
cuy,
of
nggak
plays
pakai,
that
nggak perlu
CFO
pakai itu.
like to make in these early stages to garner these leads.
For the moment, both teams willing just to accept these waves. The wave state's kind of just sitting where they are. You have a few swaps coming out. You can see Doggo. It looked like for a second perhaps he was pathing down towards bottom side, but once again just makes his way up towards top with the grubs coming up in 15 seconds. KT will have the push in mid and the push in top, so they can just play immediately for those grubs.
Yeah, the big edge is that Driver still has his TP, right? He's actually held on to that. We're perfect TP down towards bot side. So I do want to see CFO actually challenging at these grubs. They should play aggressively for them because you have.
Kalau live stream war kagak rutin kor.
But Cuz has gotten here so early, he's likely to just be able
Gue mau
to
nyari yang tim-tim yang menarik aja cuy.
You don't really care what happens. I'm sure you'd like to get more, but you definitely don't have to.
He's gonna smite it to get the
Kalau yang rutin KD cuy, tapi ilegal.
They want to take the fight because of the push up towards that top side. They will force Junja.
Menurut gue KD harusnya dikasih cuy, karena dia rajin banget.
Junja, he looks for the re-engage. Second grub secured there. It's CFO that get it. The fight continues as BDD looks for some damage from the side between worlds. Goes Honku, dives into the backline with a cyclone. Already takes
mati
down
lagi Cok Junja.
so late to this battle. Cuz looking for that flash across the wall that dashes to the grubs. Call to the Forge God from
Nah.
Driver. Lands the knock up onto
Ketiga.
Junja.
Nah.
Gets another double knock.
Nah.
Mati dong tapi Orne nggak mati Cok.
Honku forcing another kill in. Doctam starts to turn onto Doggo.
Aduh.
The Aqua Prism BDD.
Wah. Wah.
Wah mati sih itu. Enggak deng. Wajib masih mau dimajuin loh.
Kalian does too, and somehow Honku gets his way away. Doctam still looking for more. Honku dodges away, and in the end, a 1-for-1 exchange.
Yeah, 1-for-1, but the problem is they're losing
Go, go,
a
go,
lot on that
KT.
bot side
Dukung
here. They're losing
CFO
they're losing
anjir.
minions. It was a 5v4. Driver joined very late.
Orang region kita cuy.
And Doggo wasn't even a part of the beginning of that fight. So even though there was technically the man advantage, the fight was very disjointed from CFO.
And a lot of that was perfect, chasing the Ornn out, so he actually couldn't TP for an incredibly long time. So you already get this focus on towards Junja, where where KT able to try and play through this.
Itu kenapa si Shinjo-nya kayak bisa nembus dinding gitu barusan nih?
They've already gotten one, and honestly, a couple more of these.
Itu kayaknya dia belum nembus deh. Jadi kan tadi di itu tuh dicangkul.
Iya, terus belum nyampe ke sebalik dindingnya kan?
Iya, jadi masih bisa jalan kayaknya gitu deh.
And BDD on the back of this,
Kasian juga anjing
seismic
si
shove
Jinja.
here, that could have been another kill. So realistically, CFO lucky that they managed to get away with how this went.
Yeah, and honestly,
Kenapa Thailand harus LCP? Kenapa nggak LPL? Ada info nggak bang soal itu?
The game will of course go on, but
Ah,
still
maksudnya gimana?
Kenapa Taiwan dia masuknya LCP bukan LPL?
Soalnya dari awal emang udah dipisah kan? Dari zaman Garena.
Oh, gara-gara Garena. Nah, karena
Iya kan
itu
dulu
ternyata.
Garena LMS.
Oh,
Terus jangan.
berarti Taiwan nggak di lock kayak di Cina berarti?
Di lock gimana tuh maksudnya?
Yang kayak si pakainya bukan Facebook gitu-gitu.
Iya.
Kayaknya Weibo doang, nggak pakai YouTube.
Iya, iya. Dulu LMS live-nya di Facebook rame.
Tipikal APAC dia agresif banget. Itu yang seru coy. Tapi main farming mulu.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough question, right? Feats will also go over if you lose it, right? And losing feats this early also feels really rough. But I agree.
Tapi emang kayak APAC itu emang kayak gitu kayaknya. Valorant juga gitu di PRX.
With the vision setup, Junja is around, so CFO are absolutely considering it, but it's going to be so tough to work your way in.
Basically no flashes on either side as well. There's 3 available in the game. Perfect, Peter and Junja, and Hongkyu.
Ini masih nyoba buat nyuri nih.
Taken by Cuz.
Nggak dapet coy.
Spectator sport at the moment.
Flash dong.
Wah.
Bisa nggak sih?
Tahu tergantung logonya.
Aduh.
Gue jadi agak mempertanyakan pick Naminya sih. Buat sekarang nggak ada impact gimana banget.
Sebenarnya Corki itu bagusnya sama support yang kayak gimana bang?
Kayak tadi ada Lulu nggak sih? Kalau tadi ada Lulu kayak masih mending Lulu nggak sih? Buat si jauhnya juga.
Oh iya.
With worth condition as far as your summoners and your carries are concerned as well. I mean, Ornn is top, he's not even moving, right? It's never really going to work out. And we can see Peter again just goes aggressive. You know, Braum obviously not a great primary engage, but both the early scuttle fight and this fight, he's just flashing in, throwing up the unbreakable.
Wah, kasihan banget sih jauhnya.
They're committing so much to him, but you're never going to win the fight out afterwards.
Nggak dikasih main.
Kira-kira konsep swap dan di LoL ini bisa diterapin di MOBA lain nggak ya? Kalau sekarang agak susah cuy, soalnya kalau di MOBA lain ya, dia ada perbedaan gold sama XP yang didapetin di lane atas bawah gitu. Kalau di LoL nggak ada. Beda XP-nya itu tergantung berapa orangnya. Kalau 2 orang jadinya XP-nya lebih sedikit, goldnya gitu. Kalau di HOK gitu kan di farmland kan goldnya lebih gede dapat aja.
When Wukong gets this accelerated, all of a sudden you don't really need a lot of help to be able to threaten the backline carries. Equalizer plus Wukong is going to be more than enough to mean that Doggo
Gaming bareng Faker kah?
can't play,
Ngeri
right?
banget.
You just drop it on their head, you fly in, and they're going to have to get out of there, if not just
Sama siapa? Sama Bang
die.
Yota.
Not to even mention, True Shot Barrage can come in over the top. There's so many extra tools that could be there.
Ini Wukongnya
They
serap
just don't
juga
even
coy.
need it when Wukong's this fed.
And I think honestly, KT came into this with a very good game plan. Okay, we understand CFO like to go for these aggressive plays towards side lanes in the early stages to get their jungler ahead and try and play
Mana
through
cara
that.
nge-counternya kalau kayak gini?
They came in, they attacked bot
Kenami
lane.
doang bisa.
Wukong juga salah satu top pick banget kan.
Wards on that top side to prevent any sort of plays towards perfect. And now you're in a position with these early skirmishes working
Yuta siapa bang?
for KT off of these
Sepuh
early
lo,
spikes we were talking about.
Tester Wild Rip.
Absolutely, and I just feel like CFO, you know, it's been less about the play in the skirmishes and more about the play prior to the skirmishes, right? They're skipping steps, they're not always having the proper setup. Even when they had the TP advantage, they weren't able to utilize it whatsoever. And when they didn't, and they shouldn't even be trying, you know, they're going in anyway. So it just feels like
pick Nami counter skill 3 Braum mungkin. Kebalik dong.
They get the summoner out of drive, and that's all they're really looking for now. You can see the pings going
Skill
on.
3. Maksudnya pintunya. Bukannya tetap kena ya? Kayak tetap bisa ketahan ya?
Iya, semua mah bisa ditahan sama Braum, Jir. Yang nggak bisa cuma Lux doang.
And in the end, he will just dash across that wall.
And look at the map. No one was even moving.
Kayak win wall-nya Yanto kan?
More minions that are going to be falling here. Now Honky will get back.
Kuatan CFO atau KT kok. Wah, kalau dari draft gue nggak tahu ya. Kalau menurut Bang Eta, kuatan mana draft emang?
Draft
KT kayaknya ya.
Kayak imbang, cuman kayak nggak tahu nami picknya CFO yang terakhir ini soal last pick. Jadi
And you can see the consequences.
Jadi nggak terlalu guna gitu buat sekarang. Soalnya kalau perangnya imbang-imbangan ya, mungkin masih bisa. Kalau CFO yang initiate, yang megang tempo sih mungkin menaminya jadi bagus.
Oh iya, kalau dia yang menang di early gitu ya.
Iya, tadi dari awal kan udah di press duluan. 2-2 jadi kalah.
APAC apa Bang? Asia Pasifik.
Dogtom's just so strong right now, it feels like. Has double buffs once again, and he's going to be set up very well. Doggo looks like he's heading down towards
Tapi nggak tahu ya, Asia Pasifik ini Oceania entah masuk atau enggak nih.
Masuk. Kan ada
masuk juga.
See if they want to try to challenge, because Perfect is just kind of pushing once again. He's just pushing on that bot side, has the TP advantage.
CFO kurang dominasi dari awal. Iya, gara-gara itu juga tadi. Depresi dari awal. Oke, shieldnya udah dipakai tuh.
Ini gawat sih Wukongnya kalau masuk. Aduh, Dogo. Mati dong dia. Aduh, kelar dah. GG dah.
Tapi bisa itu?
Enggak.
Oh, mati tuh.
Enggak mati lagi.
Alah, mati juga si Honky. Ini gila banget Wukong, itu apa guys, anjir.
Wukongnya terlalu fat.
Sakit banget anjir.
GG sih, kalah momentum anjir.
WR ada Wukong juga kok. Ada anjir.
They knew it was all about the Corki in that fight. BDD has a great ult to follow it up, and we can just watch it one more time. He's just really wanting it a bit too much. It's not the right target to Falcon on.
No, not at all. As you say, the Unbreakable goes up, and it's all sad times for Doggo. Immediately has to try and flash away, and everything is burned to try and keep Kuzafe.
Anjir, bener fokus ke si Torki.
Just keep CFO at bay. There's a few extra kills picked up on the back of this, but again, CFO are just struggling to find that success against KT, and now we move towards the Dragon.
Hongkyu gets himself a little bit of goal. Now 4 and 3 on this Aurora. Has the Neandries and 8. Need to see large.
Damage-nya kritikal juga kah kayak di Hawk? Enggak, lebih ke fighter sih dia.
It's a bit of a flank from BDD. The Weaver's wall could split the team. Ginger look for the poke driver going in. Bellow's breath popped.
Tabrak.
CFO landing a little bit more. Hongkyu though gets the weirding onto Perfect.
Duh, ultinya Nami masih 4 detik. Gak bisa berantem.
2, 1.
Gas. Oh, dapat. Tapi kalah berantem sih kayaknya.
Ya sih mati nih.
Ya udah korbanin.
Aduh, Cok. Aduh, rumble-nya.
Bagus banget, Cok.
Aduh.
Anjing itu bagus banget ultinya.
Ultimate cooldown ever so slightly faster for CFO, but as KT's tick down, CFO fall down with them.
Yeah, I mean, KT, I think, just slow played that so well because they were barely missing the ultimates from Perfect and Cuz. So they didn't want to
numpuk di rumput.
Iya.
Artinya lurus anjing itu gimana, Cok? Nah kan, aduh, Naminya nih nggak bisa ini, Cok.
Itu jadi free kill begitu ngapain, Jir?
TP coming in as driver looks for a flank position here. Does have the call of the Forge.
Kemana tuh?
There's no one home. CFO are trying desperately to
bagus banget posisi ulti Ramba. Iya sih. Jalannya ditutupin terus dikasih ulti di sebelah situ. Like-nya mana? Iya, like-nya mana, guys?
And we can see, look at the ultimate cooldowns here at the bottom of your screen there for KT. This is why they are playing it slow. They want to keep them interested. They want to keep them round. Junja goes in, lands a great smite, but they know Perfect is about to have his equalizer back up. He had a fantastic ult across the entire CFO team as they are retreating. And then Cuz, his Cyclone is coming back up just about now, so they know they can continue to push forward.
I've been really impressed with Perfect's Rumble ult usage throughout this tournament. He's been spectacular on it, and we're seeing it throughout this game as well. He's been catching several people out.
Gue kira Nami itu cocoknya tuh di combo kalau MM-nya tuh yang tipe basic attack banget gitu.
Bisa. Ya sebenarnya Corki juga oke aja sih. Cuman kalau early-nya kalah kayak gitu sih jadi bonyok dia.
It's really tough because
Udah konti mana Kor? CFO lah dia region kita cuy. Terus gue juga tidak punya kedekatan pengetahuan ke KT gitu. Kalau lawannya T1 dukung T1 gitu.
You're never going to really get a winning fight if he has people behind him. It just takes too much of their damage to be able to actually knock down this Braum.
You also just don't have the range. Yeah. Like, you've got a Tidal Wave and a Call of the Forge God and an Unbreakable on the other side, which is going to eat up those very easily for KT.
I think if there is a team that won't give up, though, it is CFO. Yeah. We've seen it every single time that they've fallen behind. They will keep fighting. They will keep fishing for picks. So if KT start to get lax for a moment, that's where CFO can try and find these picks. Now, it's not easy, but definitely this is a team that will find them, but I think they're getting caught.
Buset, apaan itu? Aduh. Udah ente ini guys.
Himself in there. He said, "We don't have a gauge. We don't have a gauge." Are you seeing this game? Peter is just flashing in on CD.
Lo suka tim apa, Kur? Gue suka tim yang dilawan sama T1. Haters T1 nomor 1.
He's just gonna throw himself in your face, and if you don't respond, you're just gonna get wiped.
This was the first time Peter got to fly to the country, and he was like, "What if I do that in game?"
Kill Varus di PC bedakah? Sama persis. Bedanya paling metanya ininya aja, statnya aja bedanya. Kalau di Warrior kan meta penat gitu udah kurang.
Peter is just making action happen. Every fight is a good one for the team.
Di PC masih bisa.
He's able to force it. They get those kills. They take Otacon, and they are just pushing this advantage further and further ahead. I agree. CFO is going to keep fighting it out. They're not a team to just bleed out slowly, but it does feel like this next fight could be the death knell.
They're also a team where one game isn't indicative of how the series will
Very
go.
true.
Right, CFO, even against AL, we saw them losing but still fighting back.
Lawan All Gamers kapan, Kur? Besok kan ya lawan Jitung ya? T1 ya yang lawan AG ya?
T1 lawan AG ya, L.
Oke, bentar guys, ambil GoFood dulu.
Did take a mistake from the other team, but they were able to capitalize on that, pull the game back. So they have to keep looking for these plays. You're hoping for a hero moment. Honkyu has been the only one that's been really even close in gold, it feels like, for a long time. So maybe if he can find that dream flank, you know, if Peter goes too far ahead of the rest of the team and he can get the backline, maybe you can find some sort of an angle. But it feels so hard because they have no vision. And, you know, when you're looking at the map, like, that is terrifying. You know, when you're saying, okay, you need to find this dream flank, you need to find this dream pick, you don't know where anyone is.
And alongside that, even if you do, like, Ezreal just arcane shifts away. Like, you put down the between worlds, you try and dive onto the backline, and Knockdown just says, okay, I'm jumping over this wall. BDD, perhaps the target for them. It has that Leandry to a little bit of health as CFO trying to get some pressure in from Driver up towards this top side. Third Drake will go over to KT. CFO just trying to get every bit of gold they can in their pockets before the Baron spawn in 2 minutes' time.
Yeah, and KT even denying that push in the top side, even if it is with the Ornn, it's just making it very difficult for CFO to do anything on the map. And as you say, a minute and a half now until that Baron is up and available. That kind of feels like where KT
gambling di Baron aja dah ini, menurut gua.
You end up picking it up, you push in, and Tako just able to get out of there.
Wait.
As KT look for the push in mid, Weaver's wall being used as well, and CFO just forced away from defending their own objectives, their own towers. Honkyu, looking for the weirding, won't find too much more out of it as Peter's able to retreat. Tier 2 falls for KT.
Tumben gak ada rel di match ini. Sabar dong. Kan global ban pick.
Starting to come through. Driver has his first ornament, so some small little.
Tapi tadi kayaknya nggak di-ban.
They know they have some.
Nggak di-ban. Emang nggak diambil aja.
Wukong has no ult, so they're gonna try to push up. See, will KT overextend? Will they make a mistake that we can try to capitalize on? Of course, every shot is a long shot from this game state, but you've got to take your chances.
Yeah, and I think CFO have been the team that have done it the best, trying to get some vision down around the Baron. 45 seconds until that's up. Nothing too deep though, which might have given that opportunity for some sort of flank play, but KT, they're going to continue this push. And as long as they can push these waves back, it makes it difficult now for CFO to contest on the vision points that KT are going to be able to establish.
We are getting towards 2 items for CFO. Trinity Force Manamune complete for Doggo. Hongkyu has the Shadow Flame Liandry's, got a Sundered Sky and the Black Cleaver for Ginger. So if they can find the backline, they will be able to get through them. Driver gets tankier and tankier as the game goes on. It's hard to work your way through an Ornn, especially as an Ezreal who, although he is at 3 items, doesn't have that huge crit chance, doesn't have a huge amount of damage as they find the pick here onto Peter.
Oke, dapat 1 lumayan. Wah, nggak mati. Mati deh.
CFO find the pick. TP coming out from Perfect. Hongkyu looking for a little bit more. Cyclone from Cuz. Just to try and distract and dissuade the engage from CFO, but a great knockback onto Ginger means that Cuz Driver now on the retreat with the rest of the oysters, but KT are not letting them escape easily.
Kayak ada Javu gitu bentuknya.
Tunggu.
Oh, bisa.
Wah.
It's 2 so far.
Kirinya sih siapa anjing yang Hongkyu doang?
Nggak ada.
Bisa Aurora.
Aurora dong yang nge-skill sekali doang.
Ya lumayan sih, nggak baron jadinya.
Iya sih.
Dogo sih anjing do. ADC ranked public anjir. Keren.
Tako taking his chances there. Valk forward flashing in. Peter gets caught over the wall, and they do not hesitate whatsoever. Junjin instantly goes in. They are able to knock down Peter, and then KT is saying, okay, but we maybe can still take it in the 4v5. But look at this equalizer from Perfect. I think he's expecting that they will retreat into it, but instead it really gets nothing done. CFO doesn't know how to retreat. They're going forward.
And it works out so well because it's Doggo that you keep your eyes on here. As Duckdam goes forward, Doggo says, I'm all in as well. Flashes into the face of the Ezreal to get the kill. And that makes a difference here. There is no AD carry left. Free fire and some of the low health CFO members.
And there's some big shutdowns as well. Honky got an 800 gold shutdown. That is going to get him the death cap. Another ornament comes through as Driver gets some more experience. That's now a couple upgraded Ornn items through here for CFO. Yes, they are still in a pretty big hole, but look at the damage from this dynamic duo, Hongkyu and Doggo, making it work for the team.
And as much as Doggo has been around for a while, we've seen him at MSIs. Hongkyu is the opposite. It is his rookie year. He won Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year over in the LCP. We saw him first at MSI challenging, and now here for CFO on the international stage in a quarter-final. He's not letting the nameplates say anything to him. He is playing this game with those nameplates off.
And I just love this about CFO. I mean, this is a team that has represented the LCP at every single one of the international tournaments. And now they are sitting in quarterfinals against the LCK 3rd seed. And it has not been easy, but they may just be starting to wake up and find their picks.
And something that Chawi, their coach, really was emphasizing that he wanted young players that weren't afraid to fight. You can't give too much respect to the LPL LCK teams. Allow them to dictate the game, or you will never stand a chance. You have to make them uncomfortable. You have to get in their face and try to find these opportunities, and that's what they're going to try to do, but it's 25 seconds until a potential soul here for KT.
Importantly, KT's still very much in the driver's seat in this game. 5,500 gold ahead. Medjai's complete on BDD with 12 stacks on it, alongside a Lightning Jewel for that little bit extra penetration. GA complete on Cuz, so he can get onto that backline even easier. You've got a Seekers for Perfect. Their ability to delay a fight is absolutely massive. CFO
harus sih, kalau nggak dapat soul.
To try and get a bit of priority to get into River.
And that's the risk. If you end up losing a fight here,
habis itu atakan dulu.
KT, they start with the Dragon.
Drake begun
Tinggal buka.
CFO walking into fog of war, and war it shall be. Equalizer on the back.
Okay, Rumble, yeah.
Secured.
Aduh,
For KT, but is the fight going in their favor? A great flame spitter from Perfect with that Seekers goes golden.
Ayo, dogo.
CFO find one.
Dogo.
Aduh, mati Ornnya.
Wah, Ornnya mati.
Anjir, itu Talia kenapa darah masih penuh gitu tuh?
Iya, nggak ada yang nyentuh.
Aduh, dikaiting.
kalah. Udah GG.
KT split the fight, fine, 5
Susah,
in the
anjir.
end. KT wipe.
Aduh, kenapa Nami ya? Gue masih mikir kenapa Nami.
And it feels like that will
Final berharap tim apa, Bang? Tidak ada T1 di final.
They were cut off, they were corralled, and they were shot down.
Tadi
CFO, they were hoping that could be their fight, but now KT, they're not actually going to push for the inhibitors. Looks like they're looking at Baron instead.
It might not be the game-ending fight, but it was definitely the MasterCard priceless moment there as KT secured the soul. With it, they go to 9.5k ahead when they secure this Baron. But CFO, you are walking wounded, you are limping. But perhaps you can find some sort of first
Ini tinggal nutup doang nih.
I feel like that was the last fight, the last realistic chance they had to get in. And KT just set it up so well. Look at Perfect's positioning here. He slows Junja multiple times with the Electro Harpoons. Then Peter is there to keep him away. They know all we have to do is keep Junja out of the pit. They secure it. It's a great equalizer to soften them up. And even though the early moments of the fight are pretty good here from CFO, Doggo lands a great big one. They have Peter and Cuz low.
Kasen T1 kalah 2 kali lawan CFO.
And they know this is where they're going to succeed.
Yeah, it was that early flank from Peter putting so much threat onto Hongq and Doggo that bought the time
Strategi
KT needed to work through Driver, work through that front line, and then corral them into position where they can knock them down. Towers falling now for KT, and it feels like that base is surely going to follow soon.
CFO, 5 players trying to defend this top lane at tier 3. KT with a Baron for the next 2 minutes. Continue to push in. You can see Perfect's slowly guiding a wave in that mid lane. KT
Kah ini kita CFO.
Perfect's going to start to walk his way across towards this top side, then goes back to mid. Again, the waves not quite synced as well as KT would like them, but they do have a few moments here as CFO trying to defend mid.
I mean, KT's gold lead is also kind of lying to you. Doctim's sitting on over 4,000 gold. He's not based in
He's only got
forever.
3 items.
Yeah, he hasn't bought in forever, so he's on equal items like Corky right now.
Weaver's wall out, tries to split the uprights and does exactly that, but CFO still able to defend. Again, the mid lane wave about 5 seconds away, and because of that, CFO can clear, then walk back towards
Kalau Jumat menang AL, beneran LPL Slayer Kur. Kalau Jumat menang, berarti nggak ada T1 dong? Dia nggak ada. Kalau udah kalah berarti nggak ada lanjut lagi kan?
Iya. Kelar. Kalau T1 kalah Jumat ya udah nggak ada T1.
No T1 di World.
Nggak ada T1 di final. Suruh datang ke Indo aja nobar kita sama T1. Datang dah tuh Packer. Oh kalah ya.
I watch the world from Bali guys, kata Packer.
On this next one, maybe just drop the equalizer to force them off the tower and crack the base.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the play. Just try and force CFO back. They don't have the Weaver's Wall quite yet to sync up with it. Maybe they want to wait for the next wave, but like that's
Suruh gini CFO. Iya anjir. Tapi ikut nobar nggak Nardi?
Aduh, kus. Oke.
Udah kelar.
Kasnya Dogonya mati, cok. Kelar dah.
Mati berapa Dogo ya? Waduh. Enggak sih.
Hongq can only stand and watch as K2 push in for the win. Blink and you'll miss it. KT jump onto the back line and they immediately turn towards.
Kasian sih Junjia sih.
Skip dulu Kor. Oke.
Hopping around, but there's not really much he can do in the face of 4 from KT. Cuz gives him a love tap as the Nexus falls.
Gara-gara bot lane-nya kalah si Xinjiao-nya nggak bisa gerak gitu. Nggak dikasih.
It's a great start here for KT. First win on the board. 1 out of 3 down to try to make it where they've never been before, the World Semifinals.
And to do so in such a fantastic manner.
Itu di lehernya Dogo apaan anjing?
I know there's 2 people who don't want to say anything about this game.
Apa leher?
Ya jadi kayak ada strap gitu nempel. Kayak strap orang-orang pelari yang dipasang di lutut. Kayaknya yang buat itu nggak sih? Yang buat ngilangin apa sih kebas? Mobil kebas gitu. Mungkin ya, tapi warnanya pink. Akhirnya apa Gomdomek? Akhirnya wisuda.
Part of this CFO early game, and I thought they drafted a composition that just does really well in these early skirmishes from level 1. You saw them looking for stuff with the Braum, but I think Cuz was the big star in securing a lot of these early objectives.
Yeah, they had some early skirmishes that they were victorious in as well, and were able to snowball that really effectively. I mean, we're starting it out with some W's.
Kayaknya lu nongol udah berapa orang nanyain lu ke gua.
Production, by the way, doing me dirty with this one, but so far that's a big W on the side of KT, and we know that every second counts, and thanks to the reliable Cisco network, BDD clutches the fight yet again, closing the door on CFO.
Yeah, and the big thing is that you can tell KT
Gua rencananya juga mau fokus nyoba fokus konten lagi, cuman
BDD's walls were so
masih sibuk jadi belum jadi.
That one kind of gets him into the fight. They eliminate Doggo, and then it still looks a little dicey around the end. A lot of blinking health bars on both teams.
Yeah, I mean, since we talk so highly about when Doggo plays aggressively and makes these huge, comeback plays, we also have to criticize him when that one, he's valking in onto a Braum and he's putting a bunch of his damage into a Braum with shield up, and then KT punish him for it. So they are even able to attack some of the strengths that CFO had, and if you make a mistake like that versus KT, they'll punish you.
They'll punish you, absolutely. And another question that we had immediately coming for this team was Cuz. Cuz, he is the roller coaster. He embodies the roller coaster for KT. And so
yang acara nobar besok itu tempatnya kan di mall ya bang ya? Iya. Itu berarti lebih gede dari yang tahun kemarin berarti tempatnya.
Harusnya iya. Nah, masalahnya gue tuh nggak pernah ke One Bell Park Mall, jadi gue nggak tahu dalamannya kayak gimana. Apakah yang kayak di Kemang yang ada area outdoornya gitu, atau indoor? Gue nggak tahu tuh, jujur.
So instrumental in specifically keeping Junja
semi outdoor core. Oh pasti kayak yang kayak di Kemang berarti. Tapi gede nggak? Kayak yang kemarin kan agak kurang gede tuh. Soalnya di apa di kafe ya hitungannya itu ya.
Iya di bar.
Di bar. Kayak di Kemang. Semoga nggak sepanas yang di Kemang ya.
Itu kayak tergantung
jamnya sih ya. Tapi udah tahu jamnya nggak sih belum ya? Coba kita lihat.
Harusnya ya kick off-nya jam 2 anjing kick off. Berarti
2 siang.
Atau jam 2 atau jam 3 lah, biasanya kan final jam segituan tuh.
Coba lihat. Oh iya jam 2 grand final coba, berarti buka gerbangnya mungkin udah dari jam 11 tuh ya.
Bisa iya kayaknya sih gitu ya.
Kayak yang pas di Kemang itu kalau nggak salah mulainya jam 4.
Jam 11. Tapi orang udah pada ngantri dari jam 10 gitu.
Jam 9. Jam 11 mulai turnamennya.
Enggak, orang mulai ngantri.
Oh iya. Soalnya siapa yang cepet itu dapat baju kalau nggak salah aja.
Iya ada merchandise baju hardstyle dulu.
Bang Pur suaranya berubah, itu bukan suara gua. Emang ya suara gua berubah. Pagi musim hujan core kick off jam 2 siang, open gate jam 12. Kok lu tahu Jir? Lu pengurusnya? Lu one up? Apa siapa nih? Apa akun Jessica nih? Semoga pada nggak kehujanan dah ya. Emang nontonnya ini hujan-hujanan anjir. Kalau yang di Kemang kemarin walaupun hujan kayaknya nggak bakal kena hujan juga deh, kecuali kayak tipis-tipis kena angin gitu.
Layarnya sih, jadi tuh kayak yang pas di Kemang itu kan lokasi duduk nontonnya tuh kan ada apa atapnya, cuman di layar hujan jadi.
Iya sih, cuman layarnya hujan nggak apa-apa itu.
Iya.
Kagak anjir, gue sering ngerumpi di Polinesia. Oh. Cuman live biasanya pas T1 main doang. Karena CFO cuy, harapan terakhir ini.
The future of money is here. Feels good.
Red Bull gives you wings.
So slow.
Semoga ketemu lagi kok, jangan ngumpet ya. Ketemu lagi. Emang kemarin lu ketemu sama gua.
Your setup wants Opera GX, and you're holding it back. Upgrade to the gaming browser.
Nama mallnya apa tadi bang?
Opera GX.
One Bell Park.
One Bell Park.
Oh, kayaknya kesana naik MRT aja deh.
Oh iya deket aja.
Enggak sih, kayaknya harus tetap naik ojol dari MRT-nya. Jadi nggak bisa jalan. Kalau lu mau jalan bisa, tapi kayak lama gitu, 15 menitan.
Oh iya, lumayan jauh sih, tapi bisa bilang lumayan deket lah. Paling ojol ini 12.000 ini, 15.000.
Iya, ojol nanggung.
Ya, ojol yang jarak paling harga paling minimal gitu. Dari stasiun apa nih? Fatmawati.
Atau enggak kalau misalkan lu mau lebih hemat lagi, kalau nggak salah itu ada jalur angkot dari Fatmawati ke bawah. Jadi dari stasiun MRT itu, ingat gue lu bisa jalan ke perempatan Fatmawati. Di situ lu naik angkot. Kayak ada Jaklingko gitu, inget gue.
...2024 kemarin lu duduk di Bakar Zen kan, Kor? Gua nggak datang 2024. Naik angkot murah, Kor, goceng. Iya sih. Kalau asal tahu angkot yang mana mah bisa. Angkotnya yang mana, kayak mending lu kasih tahu.
Iya, mending kasih tahu. Gua udah nggak apal angkot kecuali daerah Pondok Gede kayaknya.
Every moment of your journey, crystal clear. Landscapes, absolutely stunning. Close-ups, sharp and full of vibe. Group shots, packed with detail. Zoom in on one face, still flawless. Colors so real.
Berarti yang kalian nanti ke ini stasiunnya Sudirman, stasiun Sudirman, terus nanti keluar yang sebelah kanan, terus nanti lewat terowongan turun ke MRT-nya, bisa lewat lift juga. Lanjut turun di Fatmawati.
Bring in your AT&T or T-Mobile bill for a better deal. You don't know that?
Dan nggak perlu pakai ini juga, nggak harus punya kartu MRT juga, tinggal pakai Gojek aja.
Kris bisa.
Iya. Pakai kris gimana maksudnya?
Seinget gue MRT bisa pakai kris sekarang.
Oh.
Kris tap. Tapi kalau HP-nya NFC ya.
Oh ya, 2023. Bakerzin apa emang, Arya?
Hah?
Bakerzin.
Bakerzin tuh yang restoran kan, apa bakery?
Gue duduknya di lantai 2 sih. Nggak tahu gue ada restonya di situ. Orang harusnya nggak ada kursi di situ aja. Orang bawa kursi ke situ kayaknya. Di ininya. Di jalan-jalanan lantai 2 itu.
Oh iya. Gue One Bell Park, coba gue cek dulu. Belum pernah gue. Oh, ini ada tempat. Oh, kayaknya iya kayak Kemang ya. Ada tempat outdoornya yang ada meja kursi, atrium gitu kah? Oh iya, gue lihat nih di Google Map. Kebayang sekarang gue. Iya, tempat outdoor. Bener-bener kayak Kemang ini. Ada layarnya, area tempat duduk. Nah, di sana boleh ngerokok nggak, guys?
Harusnya semi outdoor boleh sih ya.
Masa? Enggak juga sih.
Masa sih? Bukannya kalau outdoor itu selalu boleh ya?
Kayak ada beberapa tempat sih nggak boleh ya.
Oh, yang ini kah? Yang ada acara Fitbuller Showdown ini?
Iya, kayak gitu tuh kayaknya tuh.
Oh ini layarnya nggak di luar nih, layarnya lebih ke arah dalam dia.
Bagus kalau gitu, berarti aman hujan. Ada atapnya kan? Iya.
One Bell Park. Lah kenapa ada logo EVOS gini? Markas EVOS kah, coy?
Kan
punya
ITF
EVOS
di
ini.
situ, Cok. Iya.
Apa?
ITF-nya EVOS di situ kan?
ITF apa sih?
Training facility.
Oh. Ya, ini udah foto baru nih. SR-nya udah jadi ASKO namanya nih.
Haha, iya iya iya.
Kayak kafe gitu, Kur. Kirain lu duduk di Bakerzin. Oh, yang kafe di lantai 1. Kagak, orang gua nggak ada ketemu sama siapa-siapa. Gua ngeliatin doang. Gua lihat ada Moja, cosplayer.
Kemana Moja?
Nah, itu dia tuh.
Masih hilang dari map.
Ini kalau yang dari gue lihat video yang 2018 ya, ini kayak nggak semi outdoor deh. Tapi nggak tahu juga ya.
Kan 2018.
Iya 2018 tapi. Kayak full outdoor, kayak full indoor gitu bentuknya.
Why haven't you started coach yet? Don't love your region as much as Chawi. Is that what it is? You hate G2?
Really quickly, our team makes quarterfinals, so maybe you should become a coach next year.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, we're going to get into draft for game 2 of the series really
That's
quickly.
That's bullying when you say it. It's fun when I say it.
Okay. Can't push down, you know.
Masih ingat aja. Iya, coy.
CFO have elected to move over to the
Aneh sih, emang gue juga bingung itu dia kenapa dia.
top lane for them. He's seen as the more creative of the two top lanes.
Manajemen keuangannya aja itu yang rusak.
Really hard, whereas Rest is seen as weird, wacky, loves to be boisterous, and I wonder.
Oh iya si Rest yang main.
A little bit more eclectic out in the top lane.
Yeah,
diganti. Siapa diganti?
Driver.
Kirain Dogo.
Wah, Dogo jangan diganti, coy. Terlalu bagus.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so far he's played, the Rumble, which is gone, the Sion, which I think is going to remain banned, and then it's been, Renekton and Rek'Sai, right? So I do think we're probably going to get something pretty standard from him. It'll be interesting to see if he wants to kind of, go outside of that and get a bit more creative. I feel like if they wanted him to get funky, though, they would have gone red side, right? So I think
nanti ban terus.
Standard stuff. Ori and Azir are both up here, so either we're going to get a trade or we're going to have them potentially getting banned outright here.
Sionnya nih, Sionnya di ban nggak nih? Sama Katie. Kalau Katie nggak ban Sion, CFO wajib sih, tapi nggak tahu ya. Sion masih bisa dilawan sama Rek'Sai sih masalahnya.
I just kind of saw that as like a guarantee, because to me that it's like if you don't ban Sion here, then CFO just went out.
Cuma Rek'Sai itu dia damage-nya dia sekali darah.
And you're laughing.
Gak juga sih, tapi emang bisa ngelawan aja buat kayak berantem yang pukul-pukulan gitu loh, adu gebuk.
Oh.
Adu gebuknya bisa menang Rek'Sai. Oh, di ban.
Doesn't really matter. I think still, Azir for me has been the more impactful one in a lot of these situations, but we'll have to see if that's what CFO were thinking as well, and it looks like they will be.
Iya, buaya kepake gak sih, Bang? Gue terakhir kali ngeliat nggak ada buaya. Udah berapa kali nonton? Iya, nggak ada lagi ya?
Tergantung gamenya seberapa panjang. Kalau game 3, game 4, sampai 5 tuh biasanya baru tuh mulai nongol tuh.
Oh iya.
Pada habis kan poolnya.
Wis diambil Azir cuy.
Berarti Oriana. Azir lawan Oriana harusnya. Oh iya, Azir Oriana. Atau Rice bisa juga. Rice juga kebuka. Oriana diambil.
Wis Oriana Jarpan.
Mampus nggak tuh anjing combo.
Anjir. Terus nanti MM-nya Miss Fortune.
Bisa.
Supportnya Rakan.
Iya, ini Rakannya harus diambil sih.
Team and everyone else has stepped up, but when you're looking at CFO, you look at Hongkyu and Junja in the sort of same vein. They're the people that need to get ahead for CFO.
Ini kampret banget, nih Jarpan ini banyak banget combo.
If you can get Cuz and BDD on picks that are strong, that have good early games, you can kind of negate some of CFO.
Randall.
This is kind of interesting. So they are going to go for the Trundle. Obviously, you can do pretty well, against this Jarvan. So they're taking the Trundle and the Cassante here.
Admin Res komik lol gokil. Bukan, beda ya.
They're saying you're gonna go Rek'Sai and Trundle's gonna get value because you are gonna have an HP stacker on the top side.
I think it also pinches what KT can do here, because ideally you would like to go for some sort of AD carry like the Kai'Sa, right? But with Ezreal, Corki,
Kemarin juga gitu, CFO kalah langsung ganti Res.
Maybe even something like the Xayah.
Kalau menang sih.
Then you don't really have that safe backline at the moment. That could open up for things like the Cassante to get a lot of value, Trundle Pillars to get a value, even the Azir Shuffle to get a lot of value. So I think that's where CFO are looking at going, okay, what's the AD carry pool going to look like with these?
Oh iya, Bar itu bakal bisa buat nge-counternya Jarvan ya.
Bisa, iya. Yang penting buat anti combo gitu kan. Alistar.
Iya, ada Nico juga.
Dravennya di ban.
Oh,
si Dogo ini yang terkenal main Draven itu ya?
Iya.
Orang nggak ada ngepick Draven dia di respect.
Lawan itu kan Londoran ya.
I am slightly surprised because I think when you have Azir, Alistar still up on the board as well. I think you've got options to try and play in towards the Nico without her having like that both big threat. But obviously just nervous about it. There's the Varus gone as well. So Kai'Sa is still up and available if you want to try and play for this very high dive threat on KT side.
Also, honestly, like you saw what Peter could do on a Braum as an engaged champion. Getting rid of something that engages a lot easier makes a lot of sense to me.
I actually like this a lot, just going Sivir here, because I feel like if you go Kai'Sa for Dark Dam, then you really open up a ton of value for picks like Renata and some of these kind of like
bisa lo kill sama Draven lawan Doran.
Really strong. You can kind of just play to focus on the solo lanes here as Cuz. Obviously great pairings with both Renekton and the Ori. And if they go Aphelios, like we can just get Aphelios Lulu and they could go kind of like a full scaling type thing if they wanted. But of course you can just do a standard engage pairing alongside it as well.
It is Doggo's most played champion and the champion in Beyond Gaming, but it's actually going to be the Kai'Sa that he swaps over to at the last second.
A little bit of dive can reposition in team fights as well, which is something Kai'Sa does well. If the Jarvan jumps on you, you get some of that plasma stack. You can dive across with the killer instinct.
Alistar kan di ban.
Talk about this matchup as like, Kai'Sa can beat the
Sivir. Diambil Rakan.
Alistar di ban ya, sorry. Gua lupa gua ingetnya.
He never takes the fight.
Exactly. So that's kind of my issue with it. And now when I look at this, I see a lot of value for the kind of picks that I was talking about.
Oh enggak, diambil KT anjir.
I feel like Renata and Disengage would go super hard, and you already have good engage.
Lulu
dia udah pasti expect nih apa nih di pick aja.
And I'm not a big fan of the Kai'Sa because when you try to reposition as well in this sort of situation, you're repositioning into something like the Renekton or into the Jarvan, and the immediate shield break as well on the Renekton means I don't think you're going to get a huge amount of value from the killer instinct on the Kai'Sa. I would have probably preferred a bit more of a front-to-back team fighter than this Kai'Sa. But
Doran kemarin pakai buaya.
Yeah, I mean it's just
nggak lihat gue kayaknya.
Is kind of the LCK style, even if some of these enchanters are strong in certain situations. This does give them so much engage, so much scaling. It just feels like KT have drafted pretty much 4-5v5. They have a ton of wave clear in their solo lanes. They have a lot of options on where to go. Cuz can really attack any lane, it does feel like. And over on the other side for CFO, you do have some great scaling here with the Azir, but I'm worried about how they're going to be able to actually play out these 5v5s. Like, if you don't have a perfect engage, I do think it gets very, very difficult for Doggo to have a lot of value while he is kind of getting zoned out. Whereas on the other side, Sivir just needs to hit anyone and kind of just ricochet through the team.
And also you have a relatively short-range composition apart from the Azir, so the Orianna value for the shockwaves kind of at an all-time high. So I really do like what KT have opted in for here, and it is going to be looking at what can CFO do to disrupt it, particularly in this early game where they struggled in game one to find any sort of answer.
We've already seen a 3,000 elo shockwave from BDD at this tournament against MKOI on the first day, where they were about 4k behind and he turned it on its head.
Draftnya enak sih buat dulunya. Cuman ngeri kombonya KT aja sih.
More than that.
Okay. You passed. You passed, see?
It's 13, right?
Perlu masih rutin main LoL. Sekali doang. Gue lebih suka TFT sekarang.
We'll see if they can do it as we get our way onto
tuh gerak dong gerakannya ada Nautilus. Enggak juga nggak sih?
Enggak juga sih.
Orang Rakan bisa dash sebanyak itu, Jir. Skill 2, skill 3 2 kali. Tapi seenggaknya kan tujuan itu supaya Rakan yang nggak ini aja dulu yang pasti.
Nggak diambil.
The roller coaster at some point can't keep ratcheting up. There has to be a drop.
It depends how you want the roller coaster to end.
Bayodi nggak live kah? Katanya dia live game sebelah tuh. Nge-cash.
Lagi ada, iya soalnya lagi turni juga.
Lagi ada job tuh.
Aduh, beneran sih jungle-nya dari tadi diincar coy, gila.
Really relies on getting into the enemy's face, and against the Jarvan he can
Sama kayak game 1 loh.
so much faster.
And also just counter ganking is so effective when the Jarvan uses that EQ in, then you can try and turn around as the Trundle, but you're going to be able to get value as that as Cuz and have a flash to try and escape. So it does open up Cuz, at least for the next 5 minutes, to try and make some early plays. But realistically, we have seen junglers just going for these full clears consistently, so how much KT are going to be able to find success in the lanes in the early stages still waits to be seen.
And you gotta take your eyes up towards that top lane, as it is gonna be a lane swap up here. It is gonna be Doggo moving up towards that top side to take the 1v1 against this Renekton. So it will be Rest on the Cassante, taking the 2v2 down on the bot side with Kaiwing. And the question is just kind of how much of the CS can they get? Can they keep their health high to really be able to get as much of this farm as possible?
Oh, this farm,
Get as much experience as possible onto that Cassante. Not very easy to force him away in the early game as Hongkyu and BDG just trading here in the mid lane. Perfect. You should be okay on the Renekton. You've got the Cold and Meek to heal yourself up a little bit. You've got the Slice and Dice hits level 2. There's always the threat of a Slice Ruthless Predator Jarvan gank.
Yeah, there really is, and I do think, BDD in trouble.
Low to Hongkyu here.
Brutal juga. Okay, flash.
Can't be sure where Cuz is right now as Hongkyu, so you have to just be that little bit more cautious, especially with Peter walking his way up.
He's on the way. Can Hongkyu avoid this? Peter, well, does he just want to invest the flash? BDD's so low!
Peter's just gonna look for the flash hook underneath the tower, but it's not gonna be enough.
Flash.
Still able to flash away. Summoners exchanged between the North and the Azir.
Nice roam from Peter.
Gue juga udah jarang main Dota, tapi masih seru aja nonton turnamennya. Tekan orang. Apa tuh tadi? Di flash BDD ya?
Iya, di flash.
Anjir.
Lane-nya juga lagi di sana,
di freeze ya.
Nggak ada jalan anjir.
Yeah, I want to see did Kaiwing actually hit on Hongkyu, or was it just a little bit too late?
Yeah, too late.
I thought it was too late watching it live there, which is definitely tough. Peter already having a big impact, forcing out the flash on the Trundle very early, and now Kaiwing trying to do what he can, hold this wave, so Hongkyu cannot get too far behind.
Oh, Cuz flash! Oh, flag and drag from Cuz. Just wide, a hook lands onto a minion, and Peter unable to find his connection there.
And Hongkyu held onto his TP because Kaiwing was freezing the wave. He didn't actually have to TP back, so that is nice for him. But look over on the other side. It's upgraded tier 2 boots. Hongkyu just got a dagger and no pots. So even just that little bit of damage is that much closer to sending him back to base once again. This pressure that Peter put on is so effective.
Now Rest with the wave pushing away from him, getting forced out of this bot lane. A couple of minions will die to the tower, but Katie should be able to catch him. Pillar down.
Anjir, nggak kelihatan itu ada lingkarannya itu.
Escape for the Croc. It was always going to be a tough.
Nggak kelihatan.
To try and make that happen on the top side. So either way, though, as you say, KT.
Lingkarannya terandal maksud lo?
Iya.
Kayak
gores-goresan doang anjir.
Iya, ngebug. Aduh.
Oh, ngebug itu bukan beneran kayak gitu.
Iya, sebenarnya lingkarannya kan nggak kelihatan. Cuman ngebug visual, tetap ada kok.
Like maybe he's just gonna get a refillable and a ward or something. I don't think he's gonna have too much gold. So he's going to be able to upgrade the dagger, but does he even have potions on top? Is he really going back with no potions again? Yeah, okay.
Just gets himself a recurve boat.
And BDD should be able to match the reset here as well, with it being a cannon wave. Hongkyu trying to freeze because damn sure he doesn't want that to happen.
You can't do that. Like, you can't just be tanking the minions.
The wave is so far away as well. Even the shield from the Azir E isn't going to be enough, and the wave will crash in. BDD on his way back out with an amplifying tome alongside those Ionian boots of lucidity for the extra CDR. And right now, Katie's early game, this series actually has really leveled up from where it's been so far. Hex splashing onto Rest, looking for the auto attack here. We'll get the dredge line in. As the path maker out from Rest again gets him to safety. Really nice buffer there. You buffer the auto and then you dredge line in the middle of it to cancel the animation.
But you're just going to continue to get this wave frozen on you, so Rest's going to have to reset, and I think at this stage, CFO have to accept they're going to match towards standard lanes if they hope to have a chance, because this Croc in the top side has frozen the wave, now gets the TP back in, and KT again dominating through this lane phase.
Exactly. I mean, it's double frozen waves. Both your side lanes are frozen against you. You have to TP just to try to push it out, and your mid lane is kind of getting crushed right now after that early pressure, so it's triple losing lanes for CFO.
I usually like my oysters on ice, but this is not what I like for CFO right now. KT off to a strong early start here in game 2.
And it's a bit of the flash freeze as well, because Junja, having burnt that flash earlier, means that he's not really able to get involved in the lanes for fear that could
Itu yang di Breaking Bad bukan sih?
across the board. Again, KT
Itu timnya si Kedrel.
Oh iya, lupa gue.
And now you start to look at Dragon's up and available. We start to look
Yang
at
dia bawah gitu-gitu ya.
On to Doggo, grand entrance coming out from Kalian. Battle dance for a little bit of shielding. It's if you want to get the drop on your opponents like Peter just got the drop on CFO, remember, log into your Riot account on LoLesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules whenever you can.
Koza looking to style on CFO on this bottom side here, already forcing CFO back. TP coming through from Peter to make sure he can get down here. And I think they just go for the Dragon. They've got the push in that bottom lane. BDD in a great spot in mid. They don't need much more.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking like they're in an incredible spot. Judge is moving down to this side of the map. I don't think it's going to be a contest. He's just going to have to probably give it up.
Itu Los Polos Hermanos.
I feel like this would be such a
Emang sepanjang itu namanya anjing.
for the Trundle. I mean, Peter's already in position to try to jump on him.
Dogtam just hit 6 as well. Dredgeline in from Peter. Junja here, look and see if he can find a pillar, but you don't really want to take this fight. You're at a disadvantage in terms of ultimates, and KT will just secure their first Drake again, around that 7-minute mark. It's really early from there.
And that's what I was going to say, is you're kind of happy if you're a CFO that you didn't end up giving a bunch of kills away like you did in game number 1. So CFO able to back away, hoping that they can find those fights later on. And you do have things like the Azir and the Kazante, which will scale very well into the game. But at the moment, they just don't have ways to break this control of
game kah?
I think Peter has just played an excellent game, right? He's starting
Iya kan Bang. Soalnya dia scaling dulu juga kan ya. Apa evolusinya.
Not allowing Junja to ever find an opportunity to contest here realistically.
Kayak hero late game kan ya.
Towards his strength. He knows you're going to win the 2v2s with BDD. So just keep moving here, keep enabling BDD to play.
Tapi dia masih sistem itu masih sama kayak yang lama kan, harus AD sekian, attack speed sekian gitu-gitu kan.
Iya. Jadi biasanya bikin Kraken sama Winso.
I think Peter's just had a really good series so far, really good world so far. You could see signs
di Wild Rift kan udah berubah tuh. Bang Yota tahu yang sistem di Wild Rift gak?
Gak tahu gua sekarang.
Yang dia cukup jadi item aja dia Evo 1, jadi lagi Evo 2 gitu.
And what a lovable player he is. I mean, this is his first time, flying. If you haven't watched some of his interviews, do yourself a favor, go watch some. He is just a treat.
Jadi bisa Evo semua.
Again onto Junja is going to put the subjugate down, flash forward from Perfect. Dead charge onto Hongyu as well, but Junja already put in the dirt. The Troll King is down. West trying to collapse, but CFO forced away.
Iya, Trundle mau ngapain ada dinding begini.
No smite for CFO. Doggo's moving across, but actually looks like KT are happy enough.
Tapi di Los Polos sering ketemu aku. Gak tahu tuh gue aja.
Cuz can just wait around. It's like, okay, my smite's going to come back up in a couple of seconds time. KT will get the third.
Yeah, the longer CFO contest here, the more they're losing on that bottom side. That's a wave that's completely gone, and Junja has just had zero.
Tapi rata-rata MM sih emang late game guys.
He's been completely shut down by KT.
I mean, it's just a great start again to the fight here from KT. As CFO kind of try to do this late contest, it's similar to the problems they had in the first game, where even when you have the main advantage, they're not actually utilizing it because Junja goes so early. By the time Doggo is moving up, he's already cooked, and then you're just
like dulu guys, Kuro all in T1. Gak ada T1
those
sini.
minions, take a reset right back down towards bot lane.
T1 hari Jumat kalah sama AG kayaknya.
And you still walked away with triple grubs.
Yeah.
Just overall, Casey's early game really isolating the strengths of CFO and making them into weaknesses. Like Junja on this Trundle is behind on farm to a Jarvan. That's just not something you too commonly see in the early game. They haven't been able to find pressure in the lanes. The early lane swap from KT really solid.
1 jam lagi seru sih Kur kayak kemarin. Apa yang main kemarin 1 jam?
I mean, it's not even 10 minutes.
Tuh yang kemarin.
Everyone on KT has an
game 2.
We'll see if Junja can try to make any sort of gank happen.
JNG lawan ini HLE. Hampir sejam.
Anjir.
Capek. Si HLE-nya udah menang, jauh udah apa ya? Udah dapat soul.
Does get the pillar down with a slice and dice out from Perfect. Now has the.
Tapi yang menang jadinya siapa?
1 second time in CFO won't look for a further dive.
I was going to say, there's a very slim window that they were looking to play on, and now Perfect is going to be completely fine. Reset.
Nah, masalahnya apa sih itu nih? Janjinya bisa ini high ground-nya bagus.
Janjinya terlalu bagus aja.
move their Jarvan up towards the top side. They can now support perfect as he shows this out. It's just great stuff.
And I mean, you know that that tunnel is up.
Kalau bukan lawan JNG,
Look at all the vision that they're getting.
Kaliannya menang pasti. Udah jauh banget.
There's so many wards that they're actually placing in the enemy jungle here. They have all the info, right? You knew that
Draven early udah sakit, kalau WR yang nggak tahu. Iya, Draven dia. Draven, Ezreal emang ada beberapa MM tuh dari awal emang udah sakit, tapi most of MM mah late game.
They got map packs.
Really nicely played from KT in this early game. For CFO, you do still scale. You've got an Azir. You have a Rakan there for the engage. You've got Subjugate if anyone gets too tanky later on. There's the Emperor's Divide onto BDD, who will flash after the pillar. And that is a summoner down for the KT mid.
And something that could be exploitable. 45 seconds until the Dragon. You could end up looking for him, especially with someone like Kaiwing. But there we go!
Depth charge!
Aduh, anjir. Bener gak gerak, coy. Karena gak ada temennya juga sih.
Captain Hook, because he's sending Hongyu to Neverland.
And he's always there first. Kaiwing that little bit too late in saving his mid laner. And it's Peter that are making things happen for KT.
I agree. I mean, he's just being so proactive here, and now you knock the mid laner down. Kaiwing spent his ult. Cuz is behind Doggo.
Oh, Doggo, is your bark worse than your bite? It seems like it flashes away.
Okay, the ulti.
Able to survive. KT, I mean, they back away. No one goes below half HP. They'll be happy enough. They get the flash and that killer instinct out.
Yeah, I mean, it's smooth moves from Doggo to survive in the 1v3, but at the end of the day, as you say, that's teleport, that's flash, that's ult, and your defensive highlight is just staying alive while KT is going to start the Dragon and say, good luck fighting us now. Your AD has nothing.
And plates in mid lane because you had to shift the Azir down to that bottom side, which means BDD is opening up this game even further in his favor with that first item already completed. It is still
Golden Rod kayaknya janji.
12 minutes in, 3 objectives to none, 3 towers.
Kalau Golden Rod itu yang dia menang di semua liga itu kan ya?
Ya, sama internasional.
Mulai dari first stand gitu-gitu kan?
Ya, masalahnya first stand-nya si Genji nggak menang.
Berarti nggak Golden Rod dong?
Nah, tergantung definisinya nih. First stand-nya lu hitung nggak? Ada yang bilang harus dihitung tetap karena emang turnamen resmi kan. Nah, dia bilang yang dihitung tuh cuma MSI sama Worlds karena first stand masih hitungannya kayak turnamen.
Oh gitu.
Apa ya, kayak filler, gue nggak tahu sih.
Iya, agak susah juga sih sebenarnya.
Kalau si Hongki yang mati lagi anjir. Ah, tidak, ini GG sih.
It's picture perfect, but it's an ugly picture if you're a CFO fan because KT are making Game 2 look like an absolute breeze, and it's all been around this play with BDD. Constantly going towards mid lane, getting involved with him, unlocking their player here to move around the map to really get control. BDD has been such a star for this team all year long.
Vest and Doggo looking for this flash away from perfect TP in from KT, and they just don't have the damage to work their way through that Renekton.
Great flash from Perfect, predicting that Rest was going to look for that Q slow, and maybe that gives the Kai'Sa enough time to get the auto attacks down to take down the Renekton. But again, it's CFO hoping and praying that they can make these plays work, but KT happy to match. You still get BDD pushing in that wave. No one going to be able to answer for it. You're losing out on the map. Duck down, pushing in the mid lane. It's KT getting map presence constantly.
Exactly, and I mean, when you're playing against a team like this that has that much wave clear, that much pressure, and you're behind, you have to overload one side to try to make a play, but you're always going to pay for it, right? Because Sivir is just infinitely one-shotting the waves. With Essence Reaver, BDD is going to one-shot any waves that come his way, and they have triple grubs. So you lose so much tower damage every single time you have one of these failed plays. And I mean, they did get the flash out perfect, that's nice, but they didn't even force the ult.
But it's so well orchestrated by KT. It's knock out Junja by kicking out one of the legs, then go for the lanes because Junja's then behind. And it makes it so difficult for CFO to actually answer for any of these plays because they are always at a man disadvantage.
And who is it for KT that's getting fed out of this early game? It's BDD in that mid lane. 2K ahead has been involved in every single kill. The synergy between him and Peter through this game, through this world, has been absolutely top-notch. This guy is popping off at
CFO menang pun nanti semi ketemunya janji Jet. Ya lumayan lah masuk semi coy.
Perhaps at this Worlds he can really take that step to the upper echelons.
Yeah, the only man on this team who's been to that semi-final, hoping to take the rest of them there and the organization for the first time, but it's Rest who needs to get out of here.
Exhausted there for a second. Spell shield coming out from Dogdam and Tofo Q3 going wide, but this is just going to be another tower for KT. They know they can force Rest away, take the turret, their second of the game, and CFO have been able to stop the perfect game from happening by taking a tower of their own. But apart from that, KT very much on their way to a clean sweep of this one.
Yeah, I mean, objective bounties have spawned. You kind of hope that you can do some cross-mapping, you know, pick up some gold to come back in, but when objective bounties are spawning at 15 minutes, you know it is going to be an uphill battle, to say the very least.
Yeah, and you already highlighted the wave clear. It's a Rift Herald now as well. So you were already losing on the map. Now you doubly lose on the map, but Perfect might lose this.
Pillar coming out. There's a Killer Instinct as well with the quickness, everything invested.
Okay.
Perfect falls the shutdown to Doggo.
Lumayan, dapat satu, dapat shutdown.
Of life into this game.
Imperfect, not going to be able to get away with that one. We'll see what they can get off the back of it here. Heading down towards this bot side, seeing if they can make a play or at the very least control some vision. They have swept out all of the kind of vision past that line of scrimmage, you know, in the mid lane and through that river. So there's no more vision in their jungle. They really are hoping to not give up a super early soul point. When you're this kind of a dive comp, you know, yes, there is an Azir, yes, you have some damage there, but you really do not want to be giving over a Mountain Soul.
Apakah ini alasan LCK dapat 4 slot?
And you don't really get that push in mid because both Hongq and Kaiwing went to try and set up that vision on the bottom side. So now it's
harus ada Faker satu
we're able to answer back because of that reset.
It's the same setup again. Rest is on his way across on the hunt, popped by Dogdam as they look for the chase. Depth charge onto Hongq, Everett's fight, dodged by the Canada's from Hongq, not in the redemption in time. CFO lose their mid laner, and now
Hongq-nya mati lagi.
chased down by KT. Junja on the flank before begins to erupt.
Bisa nggak nih?
Perfect, not TPing down. KT will top them up,
Redemption
and
sih
in the end
kebuang.
they just back away.
Desa juga belum bisa apa-apa ya.
Why are KT better? And it's just cause
Azira terlalu behind tadi gara-gara mati di awal-awal buang flash.
sets up beautifully. And now with the dragon there for them as well.
Draft kiri kuat banget.
I mean, that was beautiful from Cuz.
Tapi kalah
Walks in, and he's basically daring you to dash away, right? He's holding the Cataclysm, he's holding the Lightning
Penko.
Drag. He's ready to punish at a moment's notice. Perfect reaction time there to immune that Azir ultimate. They win out in the 4v4. Perfect doesn't have to even bother teleporting down. They get the dragon there at soul point, 18 minutes into the game.
Apanya Azirnya lemah sahwat.
Iya to a ridiculous degree. When you look at a composition like this, that's Orion a Sivir, you're thinking, all right, they're going to play slow,
kena geng terus sih?
but they've just been
Tahu juga gue,
dominating. They realize their position in the game, so they're going to keep their foot on the gas and just
sampai sini ternyata CFO kayaknya cuy.
That pressure up. CFO looking for those objective bounties you talked about as they were trying to find any gold they can on the map. Doggo is at 2 items for going the upgraded boots. Instead, it just has those slightly magical footwear. The only player with a gold lead for CFO. And if you're going to put a gold lead on anyone, Doggo, so far this tournament's been the guy you want to put
Itu sama Oriana apaan tuh yang pertama? Luden kayaknya.
Kan
Kayak broken Luden bentuknya.
Enggak, bukan itu apa namanya, Black.
This is the heart and soul of a region, a team that is
ngasih apa di itemnya?
that made a name for themselves, and although they haven't been able to show what they're capable of in this series thus far, I think CFO have really shown that they are a team that you need to keep your eyes on at Worlds 2025, and honestly at MSIs as well. Like, this is a roster that has continued to impress on an
Kayak buat itu.
Some of the teams that weren't giving them respect have already been sent home. Peter's looking for another play.
Charge down onto Junja, the pillar does not really going to stop it.
Kayak Conqueror mirip-mirip sih, tapi wah, ini mati lagi dong Junjanya.
Oke. But he's taken out by Dogdam, 1 down so far. KT can advance.
Oh, kayak item yang ini berarti yang ngasih true damage yang semakin lama di battle itu ya?
Iya. Tapi nggak nge-stack sih. Cuman kayak pas lo lagi battle, cuman kayak makin banyak champion, jadi nge-stacknya dari champion gitu.
But they'll just get the charge in, and then Peter should be able to dredge line his way away.
And they can even go right back to the Otacon that's
Blackfire Torch, Liandry versus scaling AP bukan darah. Oh, berarti buat kalau ngelawan yang bukan yang tebal gitu bikinnya itu berarti.
Otacon on spawn again, because why not? Hongq has no teleport and he's still dead.
Kalau lu champion yang area, nah yang skillnya area pakai itu. Oke, Dogo.
Iya.
Dogo.
Gitu aja cuy.
Tapi udah. Misalnya Honky-nya belum jadi.
3-0 ini mah. 5-3-1 nggak sih?
But it falls short. KT are able to continue keeping that pressure up in the fight, and it's CFO who have to back away.
I mean, Doggo is able to find a pretty good.
Tenang Kor, nanti T1 kalah di semi lawan itu. Mimpi basah, mimpi basah.
You know what? We have to try to take advantage of the moments.
Kayak 2019 ya.
Oh pernah kalah sekali.
Yang
dulu zamannya Perk sama Caps. Yang Perksnya pakai Yasuo.
Anjir.
Even with Duckdown falling, I mean, just look at the mid jungle advantage. It's ridiculous.
Kan Perks itu dia nggak main lagi kah?
4.9k.
Iya udah pensi.
The Harapan has been begun by KT. CFO still looking for it. They have the Emperor's Divide if they can find a way.
Mimpi basah EU 2019.
Honky goes in, BDD pops a stopwatch. Harapan secured. Kaiwing with a good quickness finds two with a knock-up, but CFO now need to disengage. All their engage tools have been used. Cuz diving onto that backline. Cuz taken out by Doggo. Perfect looking for it as well. But this dog who let it.
Oke, Dogo. Dogo show. Aduh, mati sama Renek anjing.
Iya, dipotong.
Ya, nggak dapet lagi Q-nya. Udah kena mental itu si Honky.
Mid beda satu item ya aja tuh 06 guys, 06 jir. Asisnya 1.
I mean, I don't think you're cracking this game, man. It is an absolute.
Beda 60 CS.
Kalau mental sih pas di stage sih si Honky. Ya wajar lah masih rookie.
It's Honkyu and Kaiwing trying to find this flanking angle, but they use the redemption for the reset and then just send Cuz in. A great stun and bit of CC there to allow Doggo to finish him off, but Perfect is just too strong. No one's there to actually peel for Doggo.
Kayaknya Honky lagi anjing Honky. Nah, di Honky anjing. Honky harus pakai ini deh. Kayak Yonea kali gitu deh game 3 deh. Jangan kasih mage lagi sih.
I mean, this is going to be the last
sih?
gasp. You have to kind of
Leblang ya, mage sih Leblang. Eni, tapi kayaknya Eni udah tergantung si lawan siapa.
You know, they already have so much power here. Red buff and blue buff just got picked up. And they are going to be waiting for CFO to go forward.
Almost an infinity edge for
Rice masih ada.
the only one really with 2 items.
Rice Hoki juga. Wadidaw.
As they try and step
Apa mau dipakai sama dia next ini?
into that fog of war, the dragon resets rest, using his health bar to try and gain purchase in the river right now, but KT keeping them at arm's length, still stepping forward. The Drake how low 7k. Kaiwing flashes from BDD, lands the quickness and the grand entrance, but with a flash away, BDD perfect dives in.
Okay.
Goes in from Cuz. Cataclysm onto the backline. The Emperor's Divide from Honkyu. Everyone from KT falling below half HP, but then
Wah,
udah ente lah.
Menurut gua fight-nya
kagak
ada yang jelas gitu anjing mau.
MM-nya juga nggak ngehit.
Emang udah GG.
CFO posed the question, but BDD had the answer as he has every single time this game. 100% KP for BDD. 6-0 and 15 on the Orianna as they're looking for one of the fastest games at Worlds.
Sub 25 minute, the prize for them. This roller coaster keeps on ratcheting up. KT in dominant fashion are gonna make it 2-0. The scoreline looks at BDD, but the hearts were won by Peter. KT 1 game away from the promised land.
Again, control from start to finish. Desk.
Okay.
Is there an answer
They
available?
look excited up there.
They do.
I heard you, and I'm right above you, so
we're turning around and glaring at them right now.
I will not hesitate to jump on those casters, guys.
Oh, si Honky udah bener aja.
KT roster is one game away from reaching the very first semifinal in the history of the organization. And I think about this roster, Emily, at the beginning of the year, the hope, the struggle that they went through.
Timo mid range-nya pendek anjir.
That they have, and they're about to do it 1 game away once again from this result.
And what a debut for Peter. Like, what an international debut for Peter, right? Because he was actually replaced earlier this year for a time, came back onto the roster, and he's been massive in these early game plans. I know they're calling out BDD was obviously kind of the star of their team fights throughout this, but it was Peter's Nautilus from...
Sama menurut gue tadi game 1, game 2 sama sih. Si CFO kalahnya di invade. Tadi kan game 2 juga si KT-nya masuk kan, terus kayak ngebuang flash Trundle.
This game was not close.
Lumayan ngaruh juga si Trundle jadi
to a time when it was close.
Agak telat gitu kayak nggak bisa.
This is before
timingnya jadi keganggu.
That ended up happening to Hongkyu. The very first is opened up from Peter's roam from bottom lane, the level 2 roam, because Hongkyu is trading so aggressively with BDD. They make the call, Peter, invest and just go for the hook. You trade flashes with Hongkyu. Then Hongkyu, he actually has confidence. He steps back up. So the heal move speed, he dodges a second hook. He emotes because he's just thinking about the Peter danger, and he wasn't thinking about, oh, I have no flash. And BDD does. So Peter just takes away all the cooldowns from the Azir first, and then BDD can come in and get that first blood, which you know turned into many more bloods.
Yeah, that set up BDD for his 100% co-participation, as we're just going to roll through and see this great Peter highlight reel, because his hooks were so clutch. Before that mid lane play that we just went over, Kobe, he'd already helped through the Nautilus level 1 blow Junja's flash. So once again,
banyak kan emot tim CFO. Tadi juga ngemot-emot pas awal-awal.
Early game, right? And the thing I really love, as we still see Peter kind of beasting it on this Nautilus, is that KT in both game 1 and game 2 have come in with clear early game plans, right? Like, we're highlighting Peter's Nautilus here because he was so huge in resetting that lane for BDD, really getting BDD ahead. But the fact that KT have come in now with these 2 drafts, have really wanted to take over the early game, is a great sign based on what we've seen from this team previously in Split 3.
And that's a crucial point here. We were expecting KT to get better at those stages of the game, but on the other side, for CFO, they had a fantastic year. They kept on surprising. The world stage is the moment teams make or break, and right now, Kobe, it looks like it's going to be complicated for them. Do you see a comeback potential?
No, I don't.
Yang sering ngemot si Dogo aja. Tim ke-trigger. Tadi juga Dogo tuh yang ngemot-ngemot.
Completely do everything different from that game. You have to try and at least get one winning lane. You have to play better in skirmishes, better in team fights, because KT just absolutely blasted them. They're making this look like a very unfair quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is they need to get Jinja involved early, right? Like, Jinja is such an engine for this team. He's the best jungler in the LCP. He has this consistent titles record, right, over there. So I think for me, it's all about, can Jinja get involved, get some pushing lanes, like you said, and move CFO forward?
This has been the most one-sided series that I did not expect, honestly, to see here today. KT roster 1 game away from doing the very first semi-final in the history of the organization. Let's see if they can take it right after the break.
Sion, Kiana, Draven gak bakal lepas sih. Harusnya sih.
Iya.
CFO now need to disengage. All their engage tools have been used. Cuz diving onto that backline.
Coba sekali nggak sih lepas?
Wah, nggak tahu dah kalau Katy sih kayaknya enggak deh.
Where the cage is at, puts him back to the fountain. Only Hongkyu left alive. As perfect BDD, Dogdam and Peter collapse.
Jadi gue dapat notif storm alert.
There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. KT are taking everything.
was a player, if I was to like make a misplay, maybe it's my mouse, maybe it's my armrest, something feels wrong. If you were at home, you wouldn't do that.
The Infinite Precision Armrest is part of the larger Secret Lab on Stage standard initiative, aimed to bring your home or training room settings to the tournament stage.
이제 저뿐만 아니라 다른 선수들도 세팅을 더 원활하게 할 것 같고
가장 편안할 때 더 강력한 플레이가
Janji pasti dia bawa KT, World Buff. Emang ngaruh anjir. Apa nih? Oh, Crunchyroll ya? Oh. Gila, berapa pendapatan Crunchyroll, Jir?
Red Bull gives you wings.
The greatest players in the world are here.
They can just burn this one down. Oh my god, he'll win by 9!
You are going to see them like you've never seen them before.
Rocket Will as the Arcane Storm doing so much work, and Genji! They are just going to ace them!
누굴 만나도 이길 수 있다는 자신감 정도로만 생각하고 있습니다.
Genji, the EWC winners! Kindred locking down the Drake is now Doran. Decent position, double break down my walls, but I won't rise again. Cause I stand tall in my environment.
Official monitor league sama Valorant, guys.
They try to take me down with their violence. Oh, they go back in! Bishop flashes in, and down goes Light!
Alright guys, I just landed in China. Let's go.
Play the local way, pay your way.
Have you ever seen the Great Wall at night?
Play the local way, pay your way.
Wah, anjir.
Red Bull gives you wings.
2 menit. Battle LCP dibanding LTA Kur. Iyalah. Tapi LTA kan yang NA digabung juga kan sekarang. Emang NA-nya juga jelek, coy.
Sisa FlyQuest doang yang bagus.
Oh ya, kalau nggak salah FlyQuest itu menang lawan siapa tuh kemarin tuh? LCP GAM nggak ada, coy.
Iya.
Tuh, dapatkan 30 hari gratis Crunchyroll Premium dengan menonton LoL eSport. Still believe T1 bantai-bantai. T1 bantai-bantai. Kayaknya tahun ini enggak, sih. Cerah.
안녕하세요. 처음으로 월즈에 진출한 신입생 KT 롤스터 피터 정현수입니다. 저는 데뷔 때부터 월즈 진출이 제 꿈이었고 계속해서 도전에 실패할 때마다 다음 연도에는 내가 저 자리에, 다음 연도에는 내가 그랬던 것 같습니다. 항상 꿈에 그리던 무대였는데 그 꿈을 이번 연도에 밟게 되어서 행복한 것 같습니다. 1차적인 목표를 이뤘다고 생각해서 많이 기쁘고요. 그렇지만 여기에 나온 팀들은 모두 저력 있는 팀이라 생각해서 잘 준비해서 월즈 우승까지 할 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 좋을 때나 힘들 때나 한결같이 그 자리에서 묵묵히 응원해주신 팬분들께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 바이바이.
Through this quarterfinal, already 2-0 up, winning the
Kalau CFO lawan G2 beda cerita kali ya.
so far this year as the second game of the series.
Bisa.
Bisa mungkin tapi aneh.
Unlike KT, who keep going up.
BDD is looking like he's sitting on top of the mountain, rolling down boulders at him. I mean, this is looking tough. Because last game was looking like KT took over so fast. And BDD got monstrously ahead. I feel like you are down 2-0. It is at Worlds. It is potentially your last game. I want to see them get a little bit spicy. You're on red side. I think that means we're going to get some interesting counter picks. This is the time, if you have any pocket picks, you've got to do something because standard is just not even close to working.
Now you can see it. There's just no answer for it across the board. But how funky can you get? And whatever Fodian game they need to play, it's going to be a very difficult one in this to try and reach the top of that mountain. As KT, once more, going to see if they can push it to that game number 3.
I mean, Rest has played some weird stuff. You know, when you look at, all of the games that he played throughout this year, he has an Udyr, a Karma, a Shyvana, a Shen. Like, he's got Nidalee. He's got all kinds of random picks up there. So, I don't know if he's going to see the opportunity for it. But to me, when you are looking like you are kind of playing a similar game as your opponents, but just a much worse version of that, it is time to kind of just break the chains, man. Go crazy. Do whatever you can think of because you're not going to win this series if you can't really throw a wrench in the gears.
And if it is your last game at Worlds 2025, try and just go out and show what your region was, what you were capable of doing. Like even Kaiwing having like pockets picked like his Thresh as well. Show over the course of this year what you were capable of. And if maybe, just maybe, you can take down KT.
Kapan join CFO? Kenapa tiba-tiba join CFO gua anjir?
Look, I'm not saying it would be the most KT thing to go 2-0 up, get everyone excited.
Lunaranya nggak dikasih.
Sion dapat.
Ya Sionnya dibuka sih, cuman kayak diambil anjir. Rek'Sai top berarti mau nggak mau.
I have been kind of preaching. I'm a big fan of Cho'Gath as a potential answer. Mord has been the answer of the tournament. So I was thinking something like that, or even if you want to go crazy, go like Fiora, I would be down for whatever. Whatever you think is the best counter, bring it out. Mord, I think, definitely can work. But the problem with Sion is always that not only are you so resilient, but all of your basic abilities are AoE weak.
Gaya-gaya lu
So
anjir.
it's really hard to actually create a meaningful advantage.
Ya,
and
kenapa?
Rek'Sai to me is just a much worse Sion. So I don't feel like this is it unless they have something else cooking. I truly do not understand leaving Sion up.
It is also taking the Rek'Sai in this rotation rather than trying to lock in something strong for yourself, like
Turun watch party nggak Kur? Lihat dulu nanti ya.
So I am curious what the next rotation is. I imagine it will be a jungle pick for Junja, but the Caitlyn actually locked in.
Just Caitlyn Karma or something.
Ntar gua ngecek rumah dulu nih soalnya kan hujan deras nih. Gua cek dulu titik-titik takutnya ada yang bocor. Bentar.
Oke, aman bang.
An AD carry that can do the damage from the backline. Caitlyn, not the hyperscaler, but really good at sieging.
Anginnya kencang banget nih ternyata.
Bener badai berarti.
KT have been able to find success mid and early game. So if you're hitting this trough of where Caitlyn hasn't really hit her power spike, that's really where you are going to struggle in this game. If you don't have something to facilitate.
Torkinya bakal menit apa jadi APC nih guys?
Initially, KT answer with the Alistar Ziggs. They know that they are going to get pushed in that bot lane, but as soon as the Ziggs gets towards that forbidden chapter, he can actually just wave clear for days. Chuck out the
Dapat kan badai nggak coy?
a couple of bouncing bombs. The wave's gone.
Tadi gue di jam dapat notif
And we do know it can be a flex, right? This could just be bot lane. Is just we're just going to actually just wave clear infinitely and try to make the life difficult of this Caitlyn. Bard, would be one of these strong laners here, especially early game against that.
Bard ini blunder itu loh coy.
Pitiful laner that would
Carry aja blunder pakai Bard.
Prio in the lane and also get out on the maps and potentially create a little bit of havoc, which could be beneficial for them.
I do like that thought of swapping the Ziggs down into that bottom side, because honestly, I think opening up like an AD mid laner for BDD could also be clutch here. We've seen the Yone come out a couple of times, and if you want to try and have that access to backline, that can work out. Caitlyn, though, of course, going to be very strong when it comes towards both avoiding some of that pressure and also just clearing out these mid waves.
Ulti Bar pakai feeling salah, pakai timing nggak tahu. Makanya anjir. Carry aja bisa Willows loh.
BDD has not yet played it, but of course he could.
PNS, Terik. PNS apa ya?
You're going for Caitlyn, if that's going to be your big swing, we're
Palembang
just
North, South.
And then Ziggs can be so effective.
Palangkaraya.
Carries like the
Mukanya kayak White Mon lagi anjir. White Mon apa Seper itu?
And it becomes so hard to actually play out the fight from there. And I am getting a little bit worried if there's not any more spice than this for the CFO draft.
Yeah, especially when you're already from CFO trying to ban away more of that dive, because they kind of realize like something like a Vi here probably going to be the last ban. Actually, the Yone, because Vi's banned on that first rotation, because it is a case of just more of that backline pressure that you're trying to nullify, and Yone taken away. Like, it's very difficult for CFO given the current circumstance.
I do really like the Sylas ban here. It is something that would give them some aggression. It's also Alistar, which is one of those ultimates that are so key.
Big respect to Honku as well.
Bapak siapa nih?
Against Team Secret Wales, he outplayed Histo in the Sylas versus Zed 1v1.
Dukung anaknya itu pasti itu.
The Zed was so fed, and it was like kind of his Faker versus Ryu moment, his moment that he really announced himself as the best player in the LCP. So now getting with the Sylas,
siapa kok mirip lu tapi pakai kacamata siapa anjing?
We'll make sure that you can't be Giga tanky by stealing the Alistar ult, but we'll also make sure you don't have long-range follow-up engage to something like a Tempered Fate.
Is it? I mean, you could obviously flex backside of jungle if you really
Corki kan pakai
want, but I
kacamata.
don't think that's like
Faker.
Kindred would be fun. I mean, Kindred can be one of those really powerful scaling picks. And you are going to need a lot of consistent damage to be able to get through this Scion, but
I was so excited.
Standard kind of at the end of the day. So
Oh yes, Karner.
I'm not really loving what we've seen from CFO on a red side. If you're going to go red side, and then it's like your Scion
Yang putih plus mancung.
and you're blind picking your
Yang
bot
ini.
lane, I kind of don't really understand what they were.
Berapa match ini Kur nanti?
I mean, it must be just it.
Nyari win 3 cuy.
Something funky, right? Like he's the last pick here to see what you pick.
Pelatih KT mantan ADC tim KT kalau nggak salah. Oh.
I was gonna say, if you want to play against your own,
Ada Zoe bener kan APC ininya.
what have you got? You've been watching this man for years, and now it's his signature pick that you have to find a win over.
This is just the GOAT Zoe.
Siapa yang bakal dipakai sama dia cuy? Ini berarti kurang mid ya?
Consistent damage very low for the KT side.
Apa ya? Nggak mungkin pakai Akali kan cuy?
Zoe, right? Yeah, there is the Viego, but Viego is not going to work through a tank or anything
Ani.
like that. So it is interesting. It is
Invoker ini kah?
but it is also not the most easy comp to pilot. That being said, if you are first to the objective as KT, trying to walk in through Ziggs poke and Zoe poke is going to be an absolute nightmare. And CFO at the end of the day kind of just went with like a couple meatballs and some scaling carries, and they're going pretty standard here.
I feel that we actually, I'm not 100% sure on it, but I'm pretty sure KT played this draft when they beat Gen G. With the Zoe, with the bubbles, and then the Viego coming across. I might be misremembering, but I remember it was about the initial poke into then the Viego coming out. But I could be misremembering it as we see the first Zoe at Worlds this year. For KT, they have the initial burst damage, and then they have the Viego looking for those resets. For CFO, they have some scaling. Wei does a lot of damage as the game goes on. They've got a bit of a tanky frontline, but so perhaps a range comp mostly?
I think what you can do as CFO, though, is fish for some nice picks, right? Like, Zoe, very strong when ahead, but if you start to fall behind and you're able to look for these, like, Bard ultimates to lock her down after she comes back out of the portal, like, they are very easy plays to make, and maybe that's how you can try and swing it. But again, if you just have this hard focus from KT on shutting down Junja, denying them from getting any sort of leads in the early game, you can look to snowball off of, hey, we're just going to move the Ziggs around and try and take towers very quickly.
Let's get on to Summoner's Rift for the third and possibly the final game of this second quarterfinal. I must be misremembering, having a look. Oh no, they have it was their 4th game, but it was with a Nocturne, not with a Viego. Similar idea though. The Nocturne was there with the Paranoia. You had the Ziggs, the Zoe combination for that initial burst.
Yep, absolutely. It is that kind of 1-2 punch of the Ziggs and the Zoe, but they also did have kind of some more consistent damage
Hangus
with
pick
the
up
Renekton.
admin LCP.
Of course, Viego I think kind of slots in similarly.
Sebenarnya susah juga sih. Admin LCP dia ternyata pickupnya milih ini KT aja. Ini skinnya Bard apa sih? Halloween baru kah? Kayak keren gitu ya? Kayak badut horor gitu. Turun. Oke. Come on, CFO, get the tempo back.
Trying to absorb that poke, creating space for these carries for them to be able to have a chance.
Yeah, I think Junja's going to have his work cut out from this game. Skarner not great into a lot of range. Just the only real target that you're going to have is something like that Sion, but we'll have to see as it starts to go on. But again, I think it's more for CFO about getting Junja access in the early game. He has been such a core part of this
tiba-tiba jadi pengen ke toilet berak gini cuy.
Unfortunately for him this game, he has been the target of KT consistently and hasn't managed to find that impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very difficult because there's a lot of tools to actually disrupt what the Skarner is trying to do as well. You're looking at headbutt away, you're looking at satchel, you're looking at trying to drive straight in on a Zoe who can sleep you. It's very, very difficult, I think, for him to be able to find these effective ganks. And then sure, you could attack topside, but you're ganking a Sion, right? So it's going to be tough.
We've talked at length across the course of the series and on the analyst desk about, you don't say you're excited about KT. You don't get too much motivation when you're talking about them because sometimes you're worried that they're not going to be able to have as much impact as they want. 2015, knocked out in the quarterfinals. 2018, knocked out in the quarterfinals. 2023, knocked out in the quarterfinals. Often they lose to a team that either loses to the champions or are the champions, but for so long, KT have been on the brink of taking that next step, and it seems like today here in Shanghai, it is
Enggak sih, 3 titik bocor, jadi kayak gua sambil standby. Sekarang sih udah nggak sederas tadi sih, cuman kayak
tapi tempat bocornya nggak yang ini banget kan, kayak yang vital banget
ya. Seenggaknya listrik nggak kena sih buat sekarang. Oh, tapi tetap ini sih anginnya kencang banget, jadi kayak pasti bakal masuk gitu loh.
Mereka tinggal di sekitaran Rawamangun kan?
Hujan biasa gitu. Aman, cuman gara-gara hujan angin.
I mean, it would make it 7 straight wins at Worlds in the game score, but for CFO, they need to find a way in. Really feels important to try to create a point of power on the map, somewhere that you can really focus on, that you can play towards. Obviously, you do have these champions like the Skarner and like the Bard that really can get active on the map, but you need somewhere to attack, you need somewhere to go. I don't think it's going to be top lane. So
tapi di Jakarta emang sering banget hujan sih, di daerah Sumatera lagi susah hujan.
Iya, daerah-daerah atas itu.
I really agree with you.
Seminggu ke depan Jakarta bakal hujan terus.
Like an international where they have impressed. Last time we saw them lose the series before Worlds was back at MSI 2AL. And now they come back into Worlds. They impressed with the victory versus T1. And the question is, can they find that form again? Because KT have been on an absolute tear today. Like, CFO haven't played to the level perhaps they would have wanted, but you have to give credit to KT. This is probably the best performance I've seen from a 3-0 team coming back after the break. As we see a gank in the mid lane. Oh, Spectralmore is expecting the flash from Honku, but he holds it and is able to walk away. He did TP back into this lane. BDD burnt both his flash and his teleport too.
But realistically, like, it's a nothing gank from Cuz, right? He's already fully cleared out. He wanted to move back down towards his bottom side of the map. So a transitional gank that just puts some pressure on towards Honku. And we've pretty much seen this consistently, right? The attacks from KT have been try and get in towards the jungle. Can we burn Junja's flash? Can we put some pressure on Junja? Okay, we've done that. Right, let's move Peter mid. Let's move Cuz
Jaksel
mid.
Let's try
to put some pressure on Honku.
Widih, banjir lagi tuh.
Berarti
berapa?
Ini soalnya Bogor. Oh, di radar sih awannya awan Bogor, jadi ke atas digerak.
Bogor aja yang hujan udah banjir nih, apalagi di Jakarta juga.
Has the sleepy trouble.
Nah, itu.
Jinja is gonna take a little nap underneath the tower. No one tanking it. The paddle star going wide. Still damage onto Jinja. He's able to walk his way away. In the end.
Tapi di tempat Bang Yota daerah rawan banjir juga.
Enggak sih. Kalau tempat gue banjir, yang lain udah tenggelam.
Waduh, emang di mana? Di Rawamangun kan Bang Yota?
Iya.
Berarti agak tinggi ya tempatnya.
Lumayan.
Moments here as he tried to flash in for the unreactable Ishtal's impact to be able to get the instant stun on the wall, but he just flashed past him and then tried to hit us with a little drift to get back into position, but couldn't quite find it. Might have been the first kill there of the game.
Itu di Rawamangun mau dibangun ini kan ya? MRT kan ya?
LRT nyambung dari kan sebenarnya udah ada tuh yang
LRT
dari
ya.
Velodrome ke Gading kan.
Nah iya, cuman tapi nggak ada nyambungnya kan?
Mau disambungin ke Manggarai, jadi biar nyambung ke Duku atas ntar.
Soalnya emang anehan juga sih, pendek gitu dia.
Itu dulu gara-gara 2018 dia bikin buat Asian Games.
Oh,
jadinya tuh pas 2018 tuh pas peresmian itu, dulu siapa sih, Ahok ya?
Kayak kalau tahun segitu kayaknya ya.
Masih itu, jadinya cuman Velodrome Kelapa Gading. Pendek banget anjir.
Kayak kurang juga, terus juga kalau misalnya orang nggak naik itu juga di mobil juga nggak yang macet banget juga kan daerah situ.
Macetnya Gading doang. Itu juga.
Oh iya, Gadingnya macet.
Ya itu juga maksudnya tetap nggak ngaruh sih. Orang kalau Velodrome Kelapa Gading mending naik angkot.
Iya males juga.
Yeah, and Doctam is level 6, so you have got to be careful. You get hit by
Kalau udah terhubung baru tuh enak tuh anjir.
Ya.
Doggo gonna have to back off, which means you're gonna be losing some more minions.
Sleepy Trouble bubble down. Peter looking for the headbutt pulverize. Spectral Maw coming out as well will land the stun, but only onto Honkyu. Kaiwing flashed away there on the Bard. Before we saw the trade in the bot side, Honkyu did look for a spiraling despair in mid, and it went wide, which is the old
Mendung parah Jaksel.
Worked our way down towards bot.
But again, KT pressure.
Nanti yang terowongan underpass itu juga jadi kolam renang lagi.
Doctam was able to hit so many of these consistently, and now Peter.
ACP daya mayamin. Iya cuy, udah 3-0 ini kayaknya sih.
It's healthy enough, but a third of your HP lost just as you walk back to the lane. Kaiwing a while away from getting down here as well.
Exactly, and that early pink ward that they actually placed over by the enemy blue buff, that was Cuz placing this ward after he did that drive-by gank in mid lane. That has been there the whole time. CFO has not been able to clear that out for quite a while, and that's giving them all this information. Peter just showed it to him.
Hey mate, there's a ward in there. Why do you get the gold?
You know what? I respect it. He's like, we're winning a little bit too hard, buddy. The ward.
Well, Kaiwing has to kill the ward, so he's delayed at getting to the mid lane. Honkyu has to flash away with Peter collapsing. Cuz has started up the grubs and picked up one of them so far. When he took that Chem Drake earlier on. Ginger trying to steal away one of these if he can, but he's at a numbers disadvantage right now.
But you still have that TP on Doctam, who's just gone for the reset as well, so potentially going to TP up to this fight. This is risky for a CFO.
Sleep onto Honkyu. BDD doesn't have a huge amount of mana. Grubs begun again by Cars. The flash! Headbutt pulverize! Oh, Peter, take a medal, take a prize, impaled under the tower, but he takes the enemy with him. Rest trying to come in from the side. He's going to get slept as well. A perfect
bengong anjir.
as Doctam takes the kill.
Kena sleep.
Kaiwing chased out, make it.
Sleepnya pas berdiri gitu anjing, kocak.
KT have woken up.
Kebantai lagi anjing.
Gimana nih cuy, benar kebantai 3-0.
Kalah mental udah ini. CFO. Udah lah, gak apa-apa lah. GG aja dah.
One of these situations where CFO is not respecting the map state. You called it out, Rob. Look at the Caitlyn. Caitlyn is locked under her tower down here on the map, and we have the Ziggs, who's going to be TPing in, adding the extra man, and just beautiful play there from Peter. Uses the W taxi, and then Q flash forward out of that. Sets him up for first blood. Does lose his life, but
Win rate BDD 95% Zoe.
They get the feats of warfare.
Oh, dari mana tuh 95% anjir?
Snoozing. He is taken down from long range.
Untuk bisa mendapat angka 25% berarti harus 20 game dong.
Really wishing he hadn't done this one. BDD setting that up for the long range play from Doctam. The synergy with this composition from KT is beautiful.
I mean, the sleep into the Ziggs ult from long range. And Honkyu gets taken out, and now insult to injury.
Kalau nonton tim yang udah nyampe World mainnya kok aneh ya, percayalah di atas stage lebih menyeramkan dari musuh.
Mentalnya cuy. Took a moment to reposition himself there. doesn't gobble up that.
Nggak pernah loss pakai Zoe selama World. Kalau nggak pernah loss berarti 100% anjing.
They want Duckdown able to escape, push on that bottom side, more gold into the hands of BDD, and his goal difference this series.
Tamat buat LCP. Ya udahlah cuy ya.
And now that you're in a
Ya udahlah ya.
Lawannya juga berat ya.
Move Ziggs down to that bottom side of the map to take that turret after you push in mid. Start to threaten now and use these walls at things like the dragon, which have just spawned. And
kena lagi nih.
Emang game ini mid gapnya jauh banget, Jir. Emang Honky belum siap sih lawan BDD.
Anjir.
3 game di gap semua gitu anjir.
Iya.
The best Zoe in the world, and he's showing us why. Relentless pressure here. This red side draft
Tidak perform sama sekali cuy.
CFO. I mean, you look up, you gave over the side.
Yang penting LTA nggak bisa masuk quarter. Oh yang nggak ada LTA sama sekali ya. Kasihannya.
On the bot side, you have this Ziggs that was picked as an answer to this Caitlyn. And it has been just excelling throughout the entire game.
And we've talked about it so often for CFO. If Junja and Honky can be on the same page, they can do
PLCP
work for KD and
1,
shut them down
EU 1.
Duckdown flashes away, the headshot's not enough! The
Nggak kena anjing. Oh mati juga. Itu semat kah?
Cuz now on the back foot. Ults away with the heartbreaker. A magical journey for Junja onto Peter, but a double blast cone will get them to safety.
Iya.
As Junja might try and collapse on BDD, Ishtal's impact
Anjir masih di ini. Kesel dia kayaknya anjir.
The rest of CFO trying to collapse, but there's the trample stun, a good impact.
Oke, ditarik.
Cuz able to flash away asleep onto that Skarner. Paddlestar just short of
ini chaos gini, Cok. What the hell?
Oke, lumayan.
Dashing forward with the portal, jumps in the end. CFO will back away with 2.
The Flying Oysters are not done yet. They knew that was their moment there where they could put some more pressure, but Honky needs to be careful. So Trouble Bubble doesn't land. I thought BDD might go for the flash Trouble Bubble there.
Yeah, KT were playing very aggressively in that moment. I mean, CFO pushed them out, but KT is like, you know what, we're just going to keep scrapping. They didn't want to back off to the tower. They didn't want to cede that jungle camp, so they just kept fighting, and CFO able to get something back here. But again, Duckdown just pushing through mid lane constantly. Rest has been a constant up in this top lane, has been very annoying to deal with for Perfect. It is a frustrating matchup. You're locked under your tower, but Sion is still getting what Sion needs. When we look back one more time, as they had to expend so much to take down Duckdown.
Yeah, the fact that he barely escapes here means that then, as you say, Junja forced to flash to make sure that he can get the kill just a pixel on towards that health bar. And at this stage, it's the right call from CFO. Just throw everything in the kitchen sink and see what you can get. And KT, they just stick around a bit too long. They're hoping they can play this slow with BDD having the lead that he has. But overextending that little bit too far actually gives the numbers advantage with CFO that moment to find some kills.
Exactly, and I mean, even with BDD around, you're still down a member. Duckdown is dead. It's still a 4v3, and you're fighting it without the ultimates on Cuz, without the ultimate on Peter, with lower health bars. So it was definitely a very aggressive look there from KT. Wanted to try to defend. Not a huge punish either way, but it is a little glimmer of hope you have to feel like there for CFO. Unfortunately, the kills going to Skarner is not what you want to see.
He's the only guy with a big gold lead for CFO, 1,000 gold ahead on Junja, who has been the face of for so many years. As KT begin to push in.
Ya, soalnya jungle-nya
lumayan kill 2 ya. Farmingnya juga menang.
Cuz getting slowed by it as well, but the Severing Bolt not enough to kill off the cow.
Nicely done, though, by Junja, making a really good use of this ultimate. Pulls him in, gets the ult, gets the flash. Yes, he gets away, but they are not rolling over by any means. And if you can get that Impale, it sets up Honky for all of his skill shots. Those become point and click.
And also just gives them this vision control on this top side if they want to play aggressive, waiting on that push from Honky on the top side, because you've got Herald in 30 seconds. So CFO looking to see if they can capitalize on it.
Redemption onto Honky just to top him up. CFO will really want to take this out, but now they have to look for the reset. No wards currently on Kaiwing. That's what he's going back for. Trying to get them up. Does have the Celestial opposition, whereas Peter yet to actually upgrade his World Atlas all the way. He's finished that Redemption, as has Kaiwing. So in terms of warding advantage, just a small one for CFO.
You got push on bot side and the opportunity to try and TP rest in. Still though, they weren't quite able to get the pressure the CFO wanted here. Couldn't get deep vision. Now you've got KT back out onto the map, and Peter again in a great position to just sneak some of those wards into that top side.
Belum ada apa-apa cuy.
How CFO trying to move
Gua udah speechless sih game ini, udah kayak ya udah nih kayaknya CFO udahlah.
Udahlah sob, udah nggak bisa lagi.
Waktu aja anjir, ini udah kayak disuntik mati gitu sama KT. Matinya pelan-pelan.
Tapi kalau misalnya sampai late game banget gitu tetap kalah CFO.
Wah, late game banget. Bisa menang CFO sih. Kalau Ziggs kan lu udah late game kan damage-nya kalah sama kayak Athlete pasti. Cuman
iya sih.
Emang bakal nyampe late game.
Gonna take it slow, push out the waves, and then amass onto this objective.
Yeah, Peter gonna go back, pop up those wards again, went from 1 to 4.
And mentok semifinal.
With the sleepy trouble bubble, the next bit of magic damage you're taking is
yang ini nggak ada nih,
bouncing bombs can kind of act just like a paddle star.
Ziggs ult too. I mean,
that's my worry.
That's kind of the
bisa menang CFO, tapi kalau Zig bisa positioning bakal try hardcore. Tapi kalau ini high ground itu kuat juga kan si apa namanya si CFO.
Ya ada Caitlyn soalnya.
If to start off the fight, one of your carries gets hit by a sleep and Ziggs is going to throw out his ult, you have got to be right there to try to deny it. But that takes really quick reactions.
And Herald no longer the target for either of these two teams as KT set up vision around the Drake. Will be soul point for them, and an Infernal Soul with Ziggs and Zoe is not something you want to give over easily. Already down to 4k. Peter acting as a bouncer, trying to get in. Ginger going forward as well. Good pulverize from Peter. The Drake stop with a temper fake. The sleepy trouble bubble not going to hit on Doggo.
Dapat.
Oke. 2 kali steal sih. Dogo do something Dogo. Anjing di ulti di depan muka itu anjing. Knockdown.
Oke, Rek'Sai.
Knockdown tuh.
Iya. Oke di ulti lagi. Oh enggak.
Jauhan. Tapi oke lah.
Tas. Enggak. Ketebelan.
Forces him back underneath his tower.
Wih, godnya udah sama cuy. Anjing.
Poke lands and Rest want to keep this going.
Waduh. Tas.
Aman. Aduh, terowongannya. Oh.
Masuk, Bang. Iya.
Lumayan.
Lumayan
dapat Ziggs.
Ini pressure to go over towards the Herald. I mean, this is the other side of this style of composition. It is so oppressive when all your poke is hitting, but when the spells don't land, you have no consistent damage whatsoever. And watch PDD in this fight. He's kind of having this like one-on-one on the side against Doggo, but everything misses. And when those first round of spells do miss, Junja flashes in, gets the smite, and PDD cannot hurt the front line whatsoever. The carries are untouched on the CFO side, and once CFO are in the mix, they can't be stopped.
And that's the big one, is as soon as you get this Garner into place, as soon as this Rek'Sai can actually get onto the targets, that's where they are so terrifying. And ideally, KT don't let them get into that position. But by overgrouping at the drop,
watch partinya di bioskop.
And it's just maybe give CFO.
Oh, itu watch partinya aja. Iya, kayak bioskop.
Control the objectives.
Iya. Okay.
Gets himself to safety. KT's still looking for a little bit more. Importantly, most of the gold in that last fight for CFO, who have evened out the total gold in the game, did go to their jungler and to their top laner. Rek'Sai can do a lot of damage. Titanic Hydra complete. Tunneler as well, building up to more of those physical damage items, but it's not as much as you would like.
But for me, it's less about the gold, it's about the map control.
Sure.
Because that's really what CFO need. When you're getting down these turrets, it doesn't give KT as much access to the map, and you can make plays like this.
Satchel charge stops it. That does mean the satchel can't be used on the tower.
But it also, again, it's about getting this deeper vision. So as KT look to contest objectives, they're not throwing these like long-range bubbles through the walls that can then retreat, fall back step by step, and you have to constantly try and fight for that control back over the objective. If you can park yourself as CFO in front of it, you force KT to pull that trigger early, which is exactly what we just saw. That's not what KT want to do.
I mean, it's just kind of such an interesting set of compositions, right? Because KT's
kalau Heraldnya nggak diambil bakal nggak dapat apa-apa atau masih ada duitnya.
All of a sudden, CFO can do nothing.
Kalau Heraldnya nggak diambil, duit ngekill Heraldnya ada. Cuman Heraldnya nggak bisa di-spawn.
Iya.
Tapi musuh juga nggak bisa ngambil sih. Jadi udah hilang aja.
You're not paired with a Syndra, an Annie, an Ari, anything like that. So it's just everything does your poke land.
Anjir, apaan itu, Cok? Bangke.
overstepping Peter with
Wah, mati dong Hongki.
onto the backline and everything hits this time. Rest tries to dive in, but is put to sleep and all he'll see.
Anjir masih aduh.
A triple in the end for Dogdam, another sleep.
Kena gila slipnya si BDD jago banget.
Iya anjir.
Oh, kena terus.
Ayo Hongki.
Mati tapi sama Kas.
Aduh.
Breaker a stake through the heart of CFO as KT win the fight.
Zoe sakit banget, kena slip di ulti langsung sama Ziggs-nya.
Who are once again cooking CFO over an open pit. The amount of gold and nourishment they're getting out of this roster is insane right now.
I mean, we just got to see what the two different fights look like. The abilities.
Mana tadi gimana dia kenanya sih?
You can do. Look at this beautiful sleep into the Mega Inferno Bomb, into the Power Star. Everything timed perfectly there. We're gonna call the Mega.
Gak bisa counter itu.
Looking clean, and with him gone already, BDD, he's looking like he's got an aimbot. He's just point and click.
Okay. With a tempered fate. And that cow might be going golden, but he is going to get skewered by CFO. The Otacon next TP is coming out.
Lumayan. BDD-nya dulu
lumayan dapat supportnya.
KT are going to call for a fight of their own.
Slip pasti kena sih.
Ya udah ulti.
Hongkyu already down to half HP, perfect with the decimating smash.
Ayo buru cok. Nice.
They get it, the sleep lands, but only onto rest. Will KT continue to chase, or will they accept that this fight is not for them?
Fantastic play from CFO. They get
Iwan mana hari Jumat jam 2.
their hand, immediately start the Otacon, rush it down. Don't allow KT to get set up. KT's comp is so weak when they're late to the fight.
And this is the scrappiness we were talking about for CFO. They don't want to give up the area. Dragon's there.
Aduh, Hongki. Hampir kena.
Mati.
Kena.
Oh, cuma si Kasnya cuy.
He possesses that way and the chase continues.
Bagus banget deh kayaknya skin Ziggs-nya ini nggak kelihatan bolanya anjir.
Another stun's gonna land. Rest has the flank doggers there as well.
Waduh.
Alah ente guys.
Udah.
And Kaiwing and Doggo leave him for the KT Wolves. They'll get the
At least dapat atakan sih.
and will they turn their eyes towards the Drake?
Adaptive Force lumayan buat fight Baron.
Tried to salvage the play with Doggo and Rest running as fast as they could, but it's KT who are pouncing on Junja and finding the kills they need to turn the play back.
I mean, it feels like it was just 2 or 3 minutes ago that we were talking about Cuz being down 1.3 gold. He got 7 kills in a row and now is up nearly 2K on this Viego. He is a problem. Has the entire LDR purchased up. They just moved towards Soul Point as well. This play to start it off, though, was really nice from Doggo. As BDD goes over the wall, he almost one-shots him, but he goes back into the root. You got the 90 caliber net hitting him, takes him down with that headshot. But Cuz is such a problem. We talk about the lack of consistent damage. Doesn't feel like they have that anymore.
Honkyu's
the timing!
Aduh, Hongki. Kenapa Hongki yang naik ya?
Aduh.
Now KT can look for more. BDD with a paddle stop. CFO back away.
Perfect timing on that decimating smash was just that. What a beautiful play. Catches Hongkyu as he pops out of the Herald there. Peter follows up. That's the carry down.
And it was unnecessary. You didn't need to take that ride. Hongkyu thought maybe
masih bisa. Gak ada objektif.
the back of it. It is a stiff breeze away from falling. But KT,
tapi Heraldnya udah dikeluarin belum?
CFO find their hope.
Gue tadi kan yang naik si Hongki aja.
Oh. You have to look over at CFO's
nggak nyimak tadi pas ini.
About 2,300 gold in their favor as far as adaptive stats. So the gold lead lies to you a little bit, but still, it is KT getting further
ACP itu region mana?
Nearly 4,000 gold up. 3.5 minutes until
Asia
CFO
Pasifik.
is going to have to try to make their last stand. It really feels like it's all about the setup at the Dragon because
Asia di luar Korea sama China.
Likewise, if CFO are there first and you're trying to walk through a way, you're trying to walk through this trap line, the poke is never going to
CFO
come.
motivasinya have fun, gimana mau menang.
Who can control vision?
Ini nggak have fun sih, dari pick ini sih kayaknya nggak have fun sih.
It's them getting the much easier setup.
BDD pushing in this top side on his signature pick. This Zoe lost on it.
Pit ini udah nggak bisa anjir.
He's only played it once since then, but averages about 75% win rate on the champ all time. So often we see KT
udah dirusakin mentalnya, Cok.
He'll be looking like the last couple of fights have gone well. Couple of good spiraling despairs. I don't think he's had a series where he would say he's shone, but he can do it. We have seen him so many times come back from poor series, from poor games, and within that same game actually accelerate himself to victory.
And the Spartan Despairs have been so crucial, not only for getting some of these picks, but getting those slows are crucial to enabling
CFO tim saya
to get into these fights. So
Taiwan.
you can find them, that can be the difference maker, that little bit of a slow.
Tapi regionnya sama kayak kita. APAC,
And we got to
Asia
remember,
Pacific.
KT, this team that is synonymous with heartbreak, that is synonymous with these devastating losses, is now potentially one fight away from sealing the deal on their first ever World Semifinals. BDD, the only player on the team to ever make World
TBC Flying Oyster.
He's trying to tunnel away, but Peter uses the minion line to try and get himself towards it. There's the knockout.
Goodbye.
There's the drowsy, and there's rest.
Minimal tuh turret mid hancur dah, anjir.
Will use this time to push in the mid lane though, take a tower of their own, can chase forward a little bit further. They do have cannon minion here, acing the hole onto Dogtown. Now they retreat because KT.
Iya. Bartnya udah dipakai duluan terbang.
They're not able to get the tier 2. It would be BDD who's able to pick up that objective, but CFO wonders from
Digas ini.
Gas. Aduh, nggak mati. Anjing, sakit banget, Cok.
Apaan itu, Cok?
Bisa Junjia doang dong.
Dah, datang Zoe-nya.
Lagi anjing.
Anjir. Sama Ziggs saja udah kewalahan, guys.
On the table here, they are crushing this fight. CFO got picked off in the side lane, tried to force their hand, but KT make the collapse happen. And not only do they get that, they got the tier 2 bot, they get the Baron, they get everything.
And on this composition that feels like it is unique to KT. This
Skywing, ada ulti.
They're hoping they can burst it down. They should be able to do so, as Rest was there. But
Kira mau di nice try.
CFO have to try and make this play. They know they're losing, they know they're behind. So Junja tries to go for the all-in, Cuz escapes, but watch the damage. The knock-up from Perfect sets up Doggo and Kaiwing to take half their health bar off the Mega Inferno Bomb, and then KT follow.
Now, Peter for player of the series, man. He
100%.
headbutts away the impaling Junja so it doesn't connect, and then Cuz can rejoin the fight. It's just been sublime from him every game.
I mean, he's absolutely smurfing. That Ziggs ult had to be 3,000 plus damage between the 3 people that it hit. Like, that was crazy. BDD arrives, snipes another one. He's got death cap completed now. 2 seconds until the potential last stand here of CFO. Can Junja come up with another hero steal?
Rest is in the top lane, pushing in for that tier 2. Does have the teleport and will use it. The Drake down to 9,000. BDD looking to see if he can find a sleepy trouble bubble. Lands it onto Rest. He can't join the fight. Tempered Fate on the backline. Battlestar just short. Dragon down to 4K. SKT look for the soul and knock back onto Junja. And again, it's...
Wah, dapat soul dong.
Dives in, but the rest of his team are distracted by the cow. Now they chase in with an unstoppable onslaught. And
aduh, Dogonya kena. Ah, mati dah.
Bisa honki dong.
Unstoppable from KT.
Kena ini lagi.
Ada flash lagi.
Redemption.
No one expected KC.
Ya, goodbye. Anjing.
That could push themselves
forward, but it's KC anjing ini ngomong.
In their eyes, their curses.
Si Anjir masih mau nebak-nebak.
For the first time ever, KT looked ahead to the
Kenapa jadi KC?
And with only Kaiwing left to watch.
Itu win KT maksudnya apa tuh?
Itu jadi goal difference dari tiap match. Yang win KT itu yang match yang menang sama KT yang menang.
Oh, pas different goalnya segitu menang gitu.
Goal difference segitu.
Oh, gua kira ini komentar Twitter anjing.
Oh tidak.
3-0 guys di
cupu anjing. Region kita masih cupu jir lawan Korea. Belajar lagi dah kita.
Worlds 2025 yet to drop a game. They have been on fire. And who'd have thought Peter would be the one
Oh iya tuh logonya di belakang Oyster terbang aja. Poister bersayap. Pensi aja udah. Mana mau dia pensi coy. Lebih baik aku bermain game daripada cari kerja katanya anjir.
What an impeccable performance from the support player and what a moment for KT fans.
Tapi sebenarnya kalau misalnya hidup itu udah dipenuhi main game gitu ya, misalnya sampai umurnya dia 28 gitu misalnya. Terus dia retire pro player, nggak jadi coach. Itu berarti dia mencari karirnya itu susah nggak sih ya?
Nggak juga, kan ada yang masuk jadi staff tim.
Oh iya juga sih.
Manajer. Gak mesti jadi coach kan? Jadi caster aja bisa kok.
Oh iya juga sih.
Kalau nggak kuliah lagi ya.
Nah tuh yang di tangannya tuh. Tuh di lehernya juga tuh.
Iya itu buat ini kayaknya. Koyo.
Koyo apa? Gede banget aja. Itu 11-12 sama yang di punggung nih.
Of the organization, KT Roster make it to semifinals. Emily, are you excited?
Janji fix work nggak kur kira-kira? Janji sih kayaknya iya ya, masuk sih kayaknya.
All of those amazingly nice KT fans at 2018 that I watched.
Tapi janji ada chance ini ketemu T1 nggak coy? Selain di grand final.
Nggak ada, kan misah bracketnya.
Oh iya. Ya ujung-ujungnya janji T1 lagi nih kayaknya.
Ya lihat dulu ini T1-nya menang nggak?
Kalau lawan G2 harusnya menang. Habis lawan G2 dia lawan bukan salah kan dia lawan Agi dulu ya.
Iya.
Ini gara-gara orang bilang G2 lawan T1 nih anjir.
This is first time on a plane. And he's always just so happy to be here. If you haven't seen any of the interviews that the LCK English broadcast has done with him, he's always so happy, so fun, and he showed up massively today. He was such a huge.
Ini G2 lawan tes aja tuh belum tahu nih coy.
In these early games, which we hadn't seen as much from them.
Kira-kira menang mana G2 lawan tes bang?
One player that we need to highlight once again.
Kalau gue megang tes sih.
Of this team all year long.
Tergantung Jackie Love yang nggak cacat aja pas main.
With his signature Zoe in game 3.
Yeah, and it came so close.
G2 belum tentu masuk semi. Iya Jin. G2 aja belum tentu menang lawan tes. Tiba-tiba udah mau menang lawan T1 anjing.
Siding with BDD was this Zoe performance, right? The Zoe Ziggs combo coming out of KT once again, Kobe.
So many big performances from him. You know, BDD has been
udah jelas menang Genji. Lawannya nggak sebanding sama Genji. Kan biasa ada kutukan World cuy.
Yeah, it was just
Genji di regionnya OP-nya bukan main cuy. Giliran masuk World kalah aja.
You heard even Chalk.
Kalau ngelihat bracketnya ya.
Jadi he's like BDD is someone I admire so much.
Kalah sama Katie. Kalau kalah sama Katie emang nggak layak juara berarti.
Continuing to grind and just had a phenomenal performance today.
And Hongkyu as well.
Berarti abis ini si Genji dia lawan Katie, abis itu udah final itu kalau menang lawan Katie.
Ya final.
Oh.
I'm gonna show you what it takes to become one, and he did.
Shout out to CFO, of course, here.
Sofi udah kedukun kur, kutukannya udah hilang.
It's hard, you know, when you come back to quarterfinals here. It makes such a difference from the Swiss stage. The time you have to prepare, it was just not their day today, but honestly.
Ya udah kalau gitu sepertinya kita tutup cuy, karena matchnya hari ini cuma satu ya. Besok satu, Jumat ada lagi. Besok sebenarnya seru cuy, G2. Tapi gue nggak tahu bakal nobar atau enggak. Tapi Jumat kayaknya gue nobar. Bang Yota nobar nggak hari Jumat?
Kalau Jumat gue usahain bisa.
Oke. Nanti kita nobar Jumat lagi. Bareng lagi ya bang ya.
Jam 2 lagi kan.
Oke.
Ntar gue tanya si Yudi deh.
Okay. The CFO roster is so fun, and I really hope they do stick this.
Oke, thank you Bang Yuta ya.
Thank you guys, thank you Kur.
Yo, thank you semuanya guys. Kita ketemu lagi di next live war guys ya. See you guys.